But don't you think massacre is quite a humongous word?
When you come to a people where there are thousands of people and you shoot sporadically, that's a massacre. The fact that a lot of people had gun bullets in their legs, in their arms, and they survived, and over 10 people died with records and videos, that does not mean that it is not a massacre. It is crazy that we are even towing this part. And it shows one thing very clearly, that the government hasn't learned anything at all. And this is why the government of the day is setting the stage for the exact change that is required in this country. The more they keep towing this path, they are actually helping the resolve of the NSAS generation, to continue in their own resolve to be able to bring the change that is required in this country. Because, like they say, our people, our leaders know they hear word.
Hello, welcome. It is 5:30 p.m. in Accra, Ghana, 6:30 p.m. in Lagos, Nigeria, 12:30 p.m. in New York City. Wherever in the world you are joining us, welcome to another episode of 90 Minutes Africa. My name is Rudolph Okonkwo. My co-host, Chido Onoma, is on assignment. On our show today, we have a special guest. Over the past year and more, no one knows Peter Obi quite like he does. He has traveled extensively with the Labour Party's presidential candidate in the 2023 presidential election, both within and outside the country. His front row experiences give him a unique perspective on the former governor of Anambra State. On today's 90 Minutes Africa, Dr. Moses Paul will join us to offer insights into Peter Obi, the man nobody knows. Dr. Moses Paul is a coach, author, thought leader, social activist, and the team lead at the Free Nigerian Movement. Please join me in welcoming to the show, Dr. Moses Paul. Hello. Welcome.
So good to be here.
Nice to have you. Thank you so much for making time for us. We appreciate that.
It's always a pleasure. Our pleasure too. I'm excited to be here.
All right. Let's start with something big is happening tomorrow. It's happening in Washington, D.C., and it will have impact on the rest of the world. And that is the inauguration of Donald Trump as the 47th president of the United States. What do you make of that?
I mean, it's already, even here in Nigeria, the energy, the essence, the air is kind of very tight and high, awaiting the inauguration. It's almost the kind of thing that the feeling you get when a nation is getting her independence. And of course, we know that I've traveled around the state while the incoming president was campaigning and all of that. And the expectation is quite high along. We're looking at a bolster in terms of the economy, the America First policy. Of course, there are going to be a lot of shakeups and changes with the immigration policy, energy, environment, climate change. We know Donald Trump and we know what he's bringing to the table. And one of the things that hit the world a few hours or days ago has to do with the portrait. When you see the portrait, it's actually completely different from what we have known in the world before. I mean, this is the world's greatest leader. So it's going to be energetic. If you know Donald Trump and his style of communication and media, you're going to see brutal truth. I don't know how else to put it, but the world is agog, and everyone is waiting, and in expectation for something new, something drastic, something dramatic, something energetic. That's what I know the expectation it's about. And I will tell you, I have my friend, uh, a mother figure, a leader of the Labour Party caretaker committee, just spoke to me a few minutes ago. She's already live there, waiting to join the ceremony. So yeah.
That's interesting. Is there anything you are expecting or hoping that he would do that in terms of Africa, the way to help us in Africa? Is there anything you are looking forward to seeing incoming President Trump do to help the situation in Africa?
Yeah, I mean, he also acknowledged the fact that a lot of Nigerians and Africans, supported him during the campaigns and also leading to his winning the election. So I'm looking at two ways. I know that there are a few Nigerians who are in leadership positions in the U.S. Of course, they are going to be repositioning and stuff. And knowing who the incoming president is, Africa needs brutal truth that would shake her up to actually see it, because here we are in Nigeria with potentially the greatest black nation on the face of the earth. And I think because everything goes well for us in terms of nature and life, and we need world leaders that will look at us and tell us the brutal truth. I mean, I can't even say what he called us, but those kind of truth are required for the kind of leadership that will wake up and say, when somebody insults you, it helps you to sit up, either as a father, as a leader, and somebody who should be playing at the global stage. So I'm expecting all of that to shake up Africa and to get African leaders to work in. So if that happens, fine.
Talking of African leaders, do you know where Nigeria's president is today? Is he coming to Washington?
I don't know, but I overheard we're having some conversation. I don't know even if it's online yet, but I know that he'll be leaving for France. Either he has left or he's going to leave for France, which should make the fourth or fifth or sixth times he'll be going to France in the last couple of months.
Did he come back from Abu Dhabi where he went for a conference, or is he going straight from there?
To be quite honest, I don't have that detail yet because I've been quite busy. But I follow up on some of the engagement in France, and yeah, so I don't know if he's coming back or not. But again, if you've been following the narrative conversation over here, you know that his travels to France has caused a lot of outbursts in the social media, especially with the purchase of the Airbus costing us hundreds of millions of dollars, But I also know that some of the there's some give and take with the negotiations with France. Yeah.
What is he going there to do? Why does he go to France all the time, especially in today's Africa, West Africa, where the French-speaking parts of West Africa are disassociating themselves from France? Why is our president going there all the time?
In fact, in the words of Mama Africa, Dr. Shibong Warikwa, a fantastic lady that I met in Ghana, last year, and we exchanged such energy because I'm very Pan-African in terms of my thought and the way I just like I'm very Pan-Nigerian. And I haven't seen anybody dead or alive who has articulated the position of France regarding the relationship with Africa in the way Dr. Arikana has done. And so it's quite very unsettling to see the frequent trips that President Tinubu has made to France. Is very unseating considering the lopsided agreement with some of the African countries. We're trying to cut away in terms of the colonial headship of some of these countries, and it's really unsettling for us. And there is no way those trips can have any, in terms of its outcome, it's never going to go down well, considering where we should be in Africa and with where Nigeria is actually playing a global role. So it's quite unsettling. I know, and I will say it here because people are quick to say that we criticize without critiquing. I know that in one of the trips, both UBA and Zenith Bank secured a deal to now begin to operate from France, which of course has its own advantage, and also some of the innovative deals that were secured for some investment in agriculture and some other things. But back home, we haven't even begun to see any effect of any of the trips, rather than just taking our hard-earned meager resources to be flying to France all the time. It makes no sense, really.
We know an incident that happened a few weeks ago, or days actually, where APC's publicity secretary, Felix Morka, criticized your Prince of Okwitobi as being a prophet of doom. That was after he made the New Year message. How did your camp react to that?
I mean, it's really unbecoming because what Felix Morka did was not just only a blatant lie, an insult, and also a threat to the life of Mr. Peter Obi directly. I was present and I witnessed the live briefing that Mr. Peter Obi gave. It's a written, documented speech that he gave. And in that speech, he analyzed, including the travels of Mr. President, and proffer solution. He gave his advice, and if you look at what Mr. Felix Morka said about Mr. Peter Obi's governance during the ATA, which is over a decade ago in Anambra State, were all false. We live at a time and an age where you can't lie to people. Anything I'm saying here can be verified. During the time of Mr. Peter Obi's tenure as governor of Anambra State, you can see not his data, not my data, from education. The education department were very clear that he took education from number 27 or 26 to number 1 in the country. Unprecedented because of his and also his investment in Anambra State. The police IG, the police chief, in 2014 said Anambra was the most secured state when Peter Obi was there as the governor. The Gate Foundation, the Debt Management Office, I can go on and on, the Works Ministry, they all gave a Class A rating to Mr. Peter Obi's tenure as Anambra State governor. So the remarks by Mr. Morka was not just only false, but very denigrating and insulting, given the data that is available. But that is even beside the fact that he could and lie and also threaten Mr. Peter Obi, because it's on record what he said very clearly, that what is coming to Mr. Peter Obi should manage what is coming. And I was on some of the stations to also speak. If you are following Nigeria's polity, a lot of voices came up to rebuke, to stand against, because that is not only trying to, foreclose, to go against democratic rule, but it's an evil plot, to ensure that our democratic and the rule of law is completely eroded. It is not acceptable, given the fact that Mr. Peter Obi did not only critique the government, but he gave a proper solution, including telling the president to sit at home, including telling him to visit with the national hospitals. I know that the France, where he keeps going, I have never seen the president of France coming to Nigeria to, even for tourism, or to come for medical checkups. And those were the the lineup of the thoughts, that Mr. Peter Obi gave. Don't forget that all the data that Mr. Peter Obi reeled out were data from the National Bureau of Statistics, which is a government agency. So where is the lie? It is the government agency that said that the judiciary of Nigeria is second most corrupt institution. It is same institution that said that Nigeria has paid over 2 trillion naira in 2024 alone to bandits and kidnapping. And the list goes on. And if you check the same data that was released by the Bureau of Statistics, it showed that today that Anambra State has the least out of school children. And this is directly has to do with Mr. Peter Obi's investment and all he did as governor of Anambra State. So the data are there. How could he dare? How could Mr. Felix dare? You can see the almost rage in my voice because that is unbecoming of the ruling party and Mr. Felix Muaka as a person. We totally condemn it and we take exception to, public threat on national TV against the leader of the opposition party.
Mr. Moka talked about crossing a line. What is that line? Is there any line? Do you worry about crossing a line when you interact with P2B or when you decide this is a reaction to whatever is going on in the country?
I mean, crossing the line should mean the government that allowed over 100 people to die just seeking to collect food on Christmas Day. A government, as we speak today, just a few hours ago, there's a tanker explosion in Diko in Niger State. And over a few months ago, over 180 people were fried and roasted in Jigawa State. I mean, the banditry hasn't stopped. We're pumping trillions of naira to our military, and yet we do not have security. The grid that gives us electricity is collapsing almost every other day. That is what I consider crossing the line. I don't understand what crossing the line is supposed to mean by Mr. Felix Muaka. All we know is that should anything happen to Mr. Peter Obi, the APC, Felix Muaka, will be held responsible because this is a democratic setting. And certainly, we want to know, Mr. Felix has to come out and tell us what crossing the line means. Who drew the line and what line has been crossed? Those questions are still yet to be answered. And we demand an answer to those questions because we don't know what crossing the line means. What crossing the line means are the things that I've talked about. The responsibility of governance and staying with our democratic constitutional responsibility from Mr. President to everybody who holds power. If you do not hold to the tenet of what you're supposed to do, that's what crossing the line is supposed to be. But for an opposition leader who comes up to advise and critique issue-based policy and what have you, how is that crossing the line? That is within the border of democratic jurisprudence.
In recent times, we've had P2B talk about threats to his life, his family, and his businesses. Have you experienced any of that traveling with him across the country and outside the country? How do you describe his how he deals with this?
Mr. Peter Obi as a person is a highly cultured, highly democratic, is a very wise individual, very calm in his demeanor. He is a patriotic leader to the core, to describe the person whom I have spent the last 1.5 years traveling around the world with. And I can tell you a classical example of our trip to Rwanda, where he had an opportunity to sit for over 2 hours with President Paul Kagame. In one of those occasions, I don't know whether to call the names of those people here, but we have chieftains of banks, and in that period, the Africa's richest man came in with his people to hold some conferences in Kigali. And Rudolph, you would not believe where we were coming at crossroad with these people. I saw people who were friends with him, in the banking sector, all almost ducking and escaping, not to be seen, with Mr. Peter Obi. And it was quite, it's you don't know how to even describe it, that in 21st century, because you are the leader of the opposition movement, people don't want to be seen with you because of what the government of the day will do. This should not be coming from a country like Nigeria that is the only future of the black man on the face of the earth. I mean, for me, it was very pathetic, to see that. And so that was the first, physical interaction to see when Mr. Peter Obi talks about his businesses being, he's been challenged, the government of the day doing everything to cripple his business and all the threats that comes to him, some of which I wouldn't want to say here when I see his text messages and all of that, but to witness live people who you would think that are in the same field with him of banking and technocrat, ducking and running away just because they don't want to be seen caught with him on camera. That was the height for me in terms of the threat level.
How does it deal with that psychologically? Is he agonizing? Is he regretting? How does it deal with that? I don't know how we deal with that if my friends are staying away from me because of the role I play.
Life and nature has also gifted Mr. Peter Obi something that anybody would envy. If you look at the following, with what we call the Obedient Movement, in 2014 alone, I traveled with him across 15 countries in America. 15 states in America alone, and several other countries in Africa. It's humbling to see how people from all other walks and fields of life, they come to him, even in Madison Airport in America, in Wisconsin. I'm not talking about JFK or even or the UK, the big airports. In the quiet, where you would not even think, you see people coming to him in droves, because somehow the earth has also gifted him with something that anybody would yearn for. And I think that is part of the makeup, for some of the elites who are agonizing or antagonizing him, So, and because Mr. Peter Obi comes with so much grace, he's two words I'm going to use for him is he's thoughtful and also resourceful, meaning that he has the ability to be calm in the face of danger, and also he's able to utilize whatever resources that is available to him. In terms of, when I mean resources, just anything, the human beings, everything available to him at every point in time. He understands how to maximize it. And so because of that, even with all the things that come against him, if you listen to the New Year broadcast that he gave, he also said that if whatever threat that will come to him, whatever disadvantage that this will be, even against him losing his life, but to ensure that Nigeria gets it back again, then so be it. So you can see that this is a man that is ready to face the consequences and to deal with whatever is going to come regardless, because he's highly very patriotic and very nationalistic in terms of his demeanor and his view. And so he's handling it with grace, like any of the global leaders of any global movement that has existed before.
Was there any particular incident that made him to get to that point where he would say, I'm ready to give everything? Because there were people who were expecting him after the election to move in a different direction, which is to challenge the structure and to say that something has to be done. But it appeared that he didn't want to do that then. Was there any incident that made him move to this point where he now said, I'm ready to give it all, whatever it would take, we have to change this country?
I can say that here because it's also a conversation that we've had. If you follow my journey, immediately after the election, I led the longest protest in Nigeria's history for 21 days in Abuja. We were there. I led that protest. And he wasn't even, he did not, he tweeted then, and I agree with you, because for him, he, understanding the complexity of Nigeria, Mr. Peter Obi does not only understand the political terrain, the economic complexities, but also the religious and social complexities of Nigeria. Nigeria is a very unique nation. We speak over 600 languages. We are about 250 ethnic diverse groups. This is, to understand Nigeria, you need to know that you have to have a very big heart and an open mind. And I think Mr. Peter Obi does. And also filtering through the terrain and looking at what could be, the danger line, because there is a thin line between anarchy and protest. And when you look at the temperature of what happened immediately after the election, it will only take a patriotic father to look and say, you know what, let the methodology of challenge be completely different, be non-violent, and he hasn't really changed from his demeanor or where he stands. He's constantly challenged the government and the government. It's just that his style of challenging them is a bit different, because he understands what can happen when you take the path of snatching, grabbing, and running away, or coming outrightly, to protest in terms of what we've always known, with the government, with what happened with the NSAS protest, with what happened with the End Bad Governance protest, where government picked children and locked them up for days, shooting sporadically at protesters. Mr. Peter Obi does not want Nigerians put in harm's way, and that's why he chose the path of non-violent. But he's very stern. He told me personally that, Dr. Mo, if I want to protest, I will be on the street protesting. I will not allow young people to be on the streets while I'm not there and sitting somewhere and then telling people to go out. I'm not going to do that. And for me, that is an exemplary leadership. He's saying that if I have to do this, I'll be in the forefront and you guys will come. So if I have to die, I'll have to die. And I'm speaking in terms of the conversations that we've had. This is the first time I'll be saying this in any news media. This is who Mr. Peter Obi is. Even if you haven't seen him before, when you sit with him, the one thing you will feel is his sincerity and his genuineness in terms of his national approach to things and his issue-based orientation and dealing with things. So he's always been there. But also, as we move off with the suffering and the pains that Nigerians are going through, it will take a coward not to stand up and say, you know what, enough is enough. Even if we have to die. In any case, Rudolph, Nigerians are already dying. We're dying in droves. Just for food, Nigerians, over 100 Nigerians died during the Christmas season. Close to 100 just died now in Niger State. Close to 200 died in Jigawa State. Nigerians are dying every day. Mr. Peter B is saying, no, maybe enough is enough. So I think the tilt for him also has to do with the hunger and the anger. Don't forget that just in the last 3 days, he was in 2 IDP camps. He was in 2 universities. He was in 3 nursing midwifery sciences school. Yeah. So we travel on the road. He goes through the bad terrain. So Mr. Peter Obi knows what's happening in Sokoto, in Kebbi, in Katsina, in Kaduna, not just in Enugu and in Anambra. He goes to the south. So he's on the ground. So he sees the infrastructure. He's seeing what is happening in our hospitals. And that alone is enough, to drive somebody, a leader like him, to the point where he can say, if this is it, then so be it.
All right. He ran for president under the Labour Party. At this point, there are issues in the Labour Party everybody could see. Where does Peter Obi stand? Is he with Abure or not?
I mean, the news is out there. You know that for him, he did not support the Inouye Convention, and I'm privy to that. Of course, because of the role he plays, and he will always say, "We're already in court, and we will see it through." So where I am is not where he is as a person, but I can tell you that he is standing where the law is. He wants to follow this through to the end to ensure that what is right is done. Mr. Peter Obi is somebody that would rather not to be president than go through the wrong road to become president. And what he has said is not about being for Abure or not being for Abure. He's asking for the right thing to be done. There has to be right convention. Your tenure is over. The right thing has to be done. And that's why with the Nenadi group, they are following through to ensure that they take it to the Supreme Court and to get judgment. And whatever follows from there, the one thing that is certain is that Mr. Peter Obi will stand for what is right. As long as what happened in Inouye is wrong and is not standing by that, whatever product or produce that came out of that will never be right. And so with that, where Mr. Peter Obi stands.
Okay. What about the obedient movement? Where are they at this point? Are they standing with Labour Party, or are they with Peter Obi in terms of their projection moving forward? What is the situation of things?
The obedient movement is an evolutionary energy. I often describe it as an essence, something that is against the old order. The obedient movement is standing short to ensure that we have good governance. Wants accountability, wants transparency. It demands for critical checks in every aspect of Nigeria's, from infrastructure to education to health. This is what the obedient movement is about. The obedient movement is an ideology that demands this, and it is epitomized on the credibility, on the characteristics, on the ethos of the principles that Mr. Peter Obi exudes as a person. So it has never been, it's not a political party, even though it is a social political movement, that came to be as a result and a following. And that's why it's named after Peter Obi. It's named after Obi, is obedient, So it has never been, and the obedient movement has its people in APC, in PDP, in Labour Party, even though in the 2023 general election, because Nigeria does not run an independent candidacy for elections, the Labour Party was the legal instrument or vehicle that Mr. Peter Obi used, to I don't know what word to use to ratify the election. So the obedient movement essentially it's a Peter Obi movement. It's obedient movement. The ethos are on the characterization of the ethos of ideal democracy, accountability, on the ideals of the integrity and loyalty of Mr. Peter Obi. So that's why you hear obedience will say things like, Mr. Peter Obi is our political party. So the question does not even arise to say whether they are with or where they are. Their standing has never been in question. Their loyalty has never been in question. It is a following. They completely depend, trust, and their entire loyalty is on whatever decision and judgment that Mr. Peter Obi makes.
We read in the newspapers that there are moves to unify the opposition, and that Peter Obi will be a player in that. I know you attend some of these meetings. What do you know? Can you share with us? Where are the conversations at this point?
It is still at what we call the consultation level. And so, yes, I've been a part of a couple of the meetings that we've had to several of the fathers of the land and patriotic leaders, leaders who have been part of reshaping the history of Nigeria, grassroots people, spiritual leaders, Islamic clerics, pastors, and people who really control the narrative of conversation, both in our social, political, religious, and cultural value and narrative. Mr. Peter Obi is constantly engaging with them. That's the stage where we are at right now. And yes, I can tell you that for most of the meetings, it's been A rating in terms of the support that Mr. Peter Obi is getting. And coupled with the fact that he is more dedicated to see a working Nigeria, even much more than his ambition, that has endeared him so much to both the masses and some of the leaders that we see across board today. So yes, it is important that the opposition come together, and we expect that to happen if we're going to have a dent and a change in leadership come 2027. But at the level we are right now is just consulting. Politics is just about timing. There are certain things that if you had asked me this question maybe last year, I wouldn't be able to say it, but now I can tell you. And there are things I won't also be able to tell you now until we move to, because politics is about timing. But on the overall, I can tell you that the meetings have been fruitful. There have been a lot of good commendation. They've been received well from across board, across board. It's been received so well. And without a doubt, you can see that constantly, Mr. Peter Obi single-handedly changed the narrative of conversation of how we play politics in Nigeria. Rudolph, I can tell you that usually I have been in the political scene for about 2 decades now, actively. Usually, immediately after elections, political leaders who do not make it to the presidency, they either go to America, Dubai, or they just fly to their different places. Mr. Peter Obi is on ground. He has been on ground attending to people, digging boreholes in villages in Birnin Kebbi, in Kogi State. He's taking Almajiri children to school. He's paying school fees, donating, hundreds of millions of naira every day just to ensure that Nigerians, in terms of their critical area, he's particular about health, education, and helping to elevate people out of poverty. He's been doing that, and that has completely changed the narrative of conversation. So usually what Nigerians should have been discussing during the election year, they started discussing it immediately after the election. That's just the ingenuity of Mr. Peter Obi. So yes, I can tell you, this is going to continue because Mr. Peter Obi is also very blessed with a coherent mindset. And he's one of the strongest people alive that I've known in terms of, the physical strength that he has. He's very energetic. Even those of us who are about 20 years behind him, we have to be running after him in the airport, all the villages and places where we go. And it's such a blessing to have a leader like him, to say the least.
Okay, we take a break, like 3 minutes. When we come back, we talk about what you do when you travel with Peter Obi and your insight about the man that we may not know. And then we will get our people to join us in this conversation. So stand by, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.
These were the last hours of 2024 and the first of 2025. They were a whirlwind of action for Mr. Peter Obi, demonstrating leadership in motion. Mr. Obi traveled all the way from Onitsha to Lagos, down to Abuja for the crossover vigil at the Dunamis International Gospel Center. From 10 p.m. to 3:30 a.m., he joined thousands in prayers and reflection, like former Sierra Leonean President Ernest Bai Koroma and others. As early as 7 a.m., the man for the job was at the Durumi IDP camp, bringing hope to the displaced families.
There's IDP camp scattered all over Nigeria, and we're under war.
He pledged 2 million naira, promised stipends for workers, and offered a personal touch to the neglected. He didn't stop there. Later that morning, he revisited the Tungam Madaki Primary Healthcare Center in Abuja to inspect ongoing repairs he has supported and pledged additional resources to improve the facilities. Further, by midday, Peter Obi was in Jigawa State consoling Governor Malam Umar Namadi over the loss of his mother and son. The visit followed his earlier support to the state after a tanker gas explosion that claimed over 180 lives. We can also see from his face, the governor was very, very happy that Obi came back again to commiserate with them. Same day in the afternoon, his flight touched down in Minna, Niger State, to commiserate with former governor Dr. Ma'azu Babangida Aliyu over the loss of his mother and sister. Earlier before that, he held a private meeting with former president of Nigeria, General Ibrahim Babangida, after exchanging views on national issues, governance, and wished the elder statesman a happy new year. IBB expressed admiration for Obi's dedication. From dawn till dusk, Obi moved from Minna, moving straight down to Abuja, where he concluded his New Year engagement for the first day of 2025, meeting former President Goodluck Jonathan to exchange New Year greetings and discuss critical national issues. On the second day of the year, Peter Obi addressed the nations on Arise News, focusing on urgent socio-economic and political challenges, outlining solutions to tackle Nigeria's pressing issues. By nightfall, he was in Lagos, meeting his father figure, former president of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, and Mr. Dele Farotimi, an activist and a symbol of resilience, as well as other series of engagements in Lagos that same day, the 2nd of January. Their discussions focus on Nigeria's future and nation building.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We are having a conversation with Dr. Moses Paul, popularly known as Dr. Mo, who is the person that has been traveling with Peter Obi. He's the one showing you all the pictures and videos from all these travels. So, Dr. Mo, let's come back to that conversation. So when you travel with Mr. Peter Obi and go to these places, let's say the home of Ibrahim Babangida, how, for people who have not had that chance to be in such an environment, what is it like?
For what I know, I remember Mr. Peter Obi gives, he's how do I put it? He's actually a very unique leader in the sense that he allows you the privilege to touch base with some of these leaders, especially like when we went to see Babangida, for example. When we came in, before they have their closed door meetings, he allows us to be able to touch base with these leaders. It's such a privilege and an opportunity, to do that and to exchange pleasantries. And sometimes, like in the case of IBB, we went a little beyond that, asking questions, because IBB is a very highly intellectual father and a leader. He will engage you, ask you questions, to hear you. And I think I had, and I don't know why you're asking me that, but it was a unique privilege for me to look at him and tell him that I remember I was in primary 6, where we were lined outside with Nigerian flag, and so he laughed. That was the first time I saw him physically when he came. So he asked how old I was, and he had a very good laugh, and he asked further questions. And I remember clearly telling him that my admiration and respect for him. There was a particular question he asked about Mr. Peter Obi, and while we're there with him, and I said, I said, we follow him because when you look at the founding fathers of Nigeria, their issues were very simple. Simple in terms of understanding and appreciating what the problem of Nigeria was. Who is the enemy of Nigeria, or what was the problem? Our founding fathers could come together regardless of their differences. Papa Awolowo, Sir Ahmadu Bello, Nnamdi Azikiwe, they came together because the colonialists were their problem. So they fought them and delivered to us, a country. And I said to him, when you look at the following generation, maybe when you talk about the younger Wole Soyinka, Prof, and you look at Fela Anikulapo and all the other people, they will tell you that you, IBB, are their problem. So he started, and I said, no, not you as a person, but rather the military. The military was the problem of the second generation. And so they fought, they protested, including our dear current president. He fought through NADECO. They fought the military, so the issues were very clear. And I said to him, sir, but when you look at my generation, when you ask us what is the problem of Nigeria today, we tell you that it is Igbo. We say it's Yoruba. We say it's Christian. We say it's Muslim. We say, no, it's the political party. It is APC. It is a Labour Party. Yeah, no, it is the older generation. We are pointing fingers at, we say, no, it's the constitution. I said to him, we follow Mr. Peter Obi because he has a clarity of what the issues are. He understands it. He doesn't pay us any money. We follow him because he represents the idea of the founding fathers. And also, I told IBB, I said, everything that we can see today in terms of monumental achievement, from the Ted Mainland Bridge in Lagos to everything, were built by the military. You and Abacha and other people, because even though you were military, you were very visionary. You killed to get to where you were going. And you took bold steps to get to anywhere you were going. You moved Nigeria. You did things. Today, look at us. Mr. Peter Obi is one who can do the same thing. He represents both generations. And so for us, the younger people, seeing this and following up with it is the reason why we follow him. So I'm giving all this story to talk about the kind of conversations we have when we meet with these icons and father figures, so that they will also know that we are not just some Trojan horse all over the place who do not have a direction. We have an idea, and what we're doing is because we want a better Nigeria. So these are the kind of the unique opportunities that you get when you travel with Mr. Peter Obi, whether you are meeting with IBB or you're meeting with Baba Obasanjo or any of those people. And then we will now leave off and allow them to have their inner conversation. So it is such an opportunity, to be able to travel and be with him and engage with global leaders, even with sitting with President Paul Kagame and listening in and growing and learning to those high-level conversations on what will happen in Africa, the state of Nigeria. It's such an opportunity. These are the levels of conversations that gets to be engaged with.
Has there been any situation where you were surprised by Peter Obi, when you were traveling with him? Any encounter?
How do I put it now? I'm always, and I wasn't going to say this before, but maybe it's not even really a bad thing, because they're just different levels of encounters, I'll tell you what happened when I think we're leaving Dallas, where somebody just came to me and said, oh, hello, sir. Please, can I take a picture with him? And I'm like, come on. And this young man who was walking in the airport there, he took a picture and he said, sir, I'm coming back home to get married. And Mr. Peter Obi took out his diary. And guess what? He flew back. This was months later. Mr. Peter Obi cut short a meeting in Edo State. We traveled to Lagos just to attend that wedding and also to give them some financial remuneration. Somebody he just met at the airport in Dallas. So it's always shocking to me. That's surprising to me. And I can give you countless of shocking experiences like this. I used to be very agitated, where people would abuse me. Those who are close to me, they say, look at you, very useless. You are making money traveling with Mr. P2B. You are not helping us and all of that. And so I help a lot of people personally and all of that. But because now the people who see you hanging around leaders like this have now, a few more people are getting to know you. So that agitation, I didn't know how to handle it quite well. But I remember we were on the lift in Heathrow Airport, and Mr. Peter said, come, and he showed me a text. And it was a graphic, gruesome insult and abuse by somebody to Mr. Peter Obi, and I was in shock. How could, even if you hate somebody, would you send that kind of message to him? But the shock was that while he was showing me that, he was laughing, he was smiling, just to show me, the level of animosity. And it was shocking to me because I could not believe how he was calm, how he could receive this. So that's really shocking and surprising, when you see things like that. And I remember when we went to see Afe Babalola, the moment I walked into that place.
I wanted to ask you, how did that decision come about? Who decided that it's time we should go and see, or you guys should go and see Afe Babalola?
Mr. Peter Obi's protest type, his engagement is completely different. And this is where his ideology is not... Rudolph, in Nigeria, we're so religious, and I'm not saying it from a negative standpoint. When I say religious, we are very loud. We pray a lot. We shout a lot. We are this. When you see Nigerians anywhere in the world, they're always shouting. You, whether you're in the bus station in New York, or you are in Europe, or you are in Kigali, it's very easy to spot Nigerians. So what people, you see, his engagement is usually very wide. He's not somebody, before Mr. Peter Obi moves, if you know the amount of decisions, the processing of things that has to go through, right from day one, he already took a position about not ensuring that Dele Farotimi goes through any, he was calling his wife constantly. He was reaching out to the people. He was telling us to ensure that we do what is democratically liable to be, to ensure that Dele Farotimi does not suffer in that place. And he was engaging with people, meeting with the Bishop Kukas, meeting with the Obasanjos, meeting with all other people. Those are all Mr. Peter Obi's idea, and he carries us along when he's doing those things. He already made up his mind. He wanted to understand truthfully why and how, the old man, got to that point, and guess what? He actually found out exactly what the issues were, so it was all his decision. But what happened was, when we got into that place, when Afe Babalola saw me, when Papa saw me, he was startled. He thought he had seen a ghost of Dele Farotimi. So the whole place. I've never said this again.
Are you saying he thought Dele was the one that came in?
He thought Peter Obi came in with Dele Farotimi. So you can imagine what is going through the minds of some people there. And I don't know if of course, you should know Daddy Freeze, because yes. Daddy Freeze's mother, who is, I think she's a VC of the school, she recognized me immediately. She's Romanian, very fantastic, eloquent. She's an academician to the core. And I think she's seen some of my posts. So she reached out. She was the one that helped me and said, they say, no, Dr. Mo. But, Mr. Peter Obi was just smiling, and we're all just looking. And I had to excuse the meeting, because for me, it was, I don't know, it was mixed feeling. Because why was he startled? He was startled because of my beards, my look, and my dreads, So he said, no, he was really rattled, and spoke some stuff. And how dare you're carrying dreads? How can you do that? If you came for an exam, I would have failed you, and all of that. And some of the people were expecting me to say, no, I am no, this is an elder. You allow them, So, and you know, but the point, this is not about me. This is about Mr. Peter Obi was smiling all through. You know, it is how he deals with issues, you know, and even when he receives information, it's how he processes them, it's how he deals with them, and how he's able to, you know, talk to the people about I mean, it tells you the kind of person that he is. There are many other, maybe at the, depending on whatever reaction this will get, I can reveal some more of some of the encounters in London.
Let me ask you, someone like Reno Mokwe, how does he see Reno and his activities online? You guys discuss it, you know?
Like I said, because he actually knows that this guy is just doing a job. This guy is just a political jobber. You know, this is somebody who has, and we have it, it's on record. If you go, you will see how he spoke about, I think they had a meeting in London where he talked about when Mr. Peter Obi finished speaking and the guy was completely speechless. And he took his phone to start recording and talking about Mr. Peter Obi's acumen, his ingenuity, how he lifted Anambra State from ground zero to the top in terms of education, and talking about, because he already knows, Mr. Peter Obi knows this thing, so he's not perturbed. In fact, a lot of times people won't believe this, but when I write and refute those things, I do that because I'm close enough to be able to do that. For most of the time, he actually reprimands me. There are many things that I cannot put out, you know, and I'll tell you one. For example, Mr. Peter Obi's spiritual, how religiously spiritual he is. He's constantly praying. And this is something that is humbling to me. There was a write-up I did, and he said, no more. Because I took pictures of his sanctuary at home in Onitsha, his sanctuary at home in Lagos, you know, in London, you know, and how he follows through with that, you know. And I can tell you that, you know, I know that some people might think otherwise right now, but there is a hovering of divine protection around him because of how dedicated he is. And I'm with him, so I can say this, you know. And when he saw the write-up, he said, no, don't publish this. And he has stopped me from many other things that I would have wanted to be able to put out. Like this conversation we're having right now, this is the first place and time I'll be saying this, you know, because you are somebody we met in Yale and we've been conversing, and you know, I feel that on this platform I can say certain things, you know. So he's really not perturbed about some of the people who come out to insult him every day, because he knows that they are doing it because they are hungry. They are doing it because they are paid. I'll tell you what happened in, we were in the airport. Was it in New York or somewhere? Somebody reached out to me and said, are you Dr. Mo? He said, yes. He said, I see Mr. Peter Obi in the lounge. I said, yes. He said, no, you are the one I want to talk to. And he showed me his card. And I saw NSA. He spoke to me for just about 1 minute and then he left. And he said, everything you see this person in question doing and castigating Mr. Peter Obi, he's been paid to do it. And you know, for me, it was a mixed reaction of sadness and, you know, to see a grown-up man who actually was an aide to a former president, you know, because their actions and reactions are destroying the fabric of our system, because people are confused. You look at this was a man that called President Tinubu unprintable name, drug lord, bastard, idiot, insulted him. Today you are praising him. Rudolph, what happens is that the younger generations are confused. They don't know. When they look up to people like that, they are confused. It's like Buhari right now. Unprintable things you said about the president. Now you're working with him, and the effect is that you are confusing the next generation. This is why our civic spaces today is cruel. It's evil. All kinds of things, you know. People do not understand the difference between leadership and sensationalism. You are confusing. People don't understand what it means to hold the office of the president accountable as different from the personality in that office. I might never vote for Tinubu as a person, but I respect the office of the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's not something to joke with. Now, patriotic leaders and thought leaders who are supposed to be helping the narrative of conversation have become stomach-driven people. And so Mr. Peter Obi knows them, so he's not really bothered about them. Sometimes he tries to calm some of us down, not to retaliate, with. So that's the kind of conversation that does happen. For most of the time, I can tell you the truth, because of the fast pace of our conversations and discussions, he does not even want to, Mr. Peter Obi does not entertain, how do I put it now so that I'm not misquoted? He doesn't entertain people who complain. He's always solution driven. What is next? Solution. How are we going to move from point A to B? When you are bringing a problem to him, make sure that you have A, B, C in terms of solution. Otherwise, you might not even get a call from me again.
So someone like Omoyele Sowore, he's also one of the candidates in the last election, and he criticizes Peter Obi more than more other people. How is he seen within your circle of people around Peter Obi?
I talk with him. He's somebody I consider an elder brother. I remember when the first time I got the invitation to the DSS, he was one of the first people I reached out to. And of course, he counseled with me. And we've engaged even during the NSAS protest. So he's somebody that I respect. And I'm happy that somebody like him is also running for the office of the president. However, I also think that he is failing to understand that Peter Obi is not his problem. As a matter of fact, he could have endeared the young people to him if he understands that you and Peter Obi, you are just in two different departments. I'm not saying that whether you share the same ideology. It's like, because I understand that I'm a student. When I go to South Africa, I've read through and I've participated with what somebody who is even just like my age mate, Julius Malema, is doing. A great African leader, young person. You can see what he's been able to create, coming from the ANC movement. It took 82 years before Mandela became president. That's how long movements take, And even while Mandela was there, Mandela was not even the forefront person. There were other people that were there. Steve Biko and other people who were playing critical role. When you look at the civil rights movement, you have Rosa Parks, you have Malcolm X, you have other people. It wasn't just about Martin Luther King, but what they did when Martin Luther King started the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, they galvanized around his ideology. Even though they were not agreeing, Malcolm X was of the violent type, he was of the non-violent type, but they had to work together. Those are the things that I would expect somebody, and a born like I call him, Omoyele Sowore, to understand that if you pull a Mr. Peter Obi down, you don't even stand a chance. That you are all on the same side, and you must understand that in this quest, in this revolutionary quest, in this evolutionary quest, that we are on to salvage Nigeria to the right path, that even though Mr. Peter Obi has served as a governor, what that has done actually has given him an edge over you as a person, because he has played in the corridors of power. He understands certain things that you don't, and I can tell you, even with the experience that has opened to me in the last 1 year, there were things that I thought I knew that I am now even, I'm redefining them to make them better. It's like when I ran for an office, in 2019 under PDP, because I ran for election, I understand politics as different from people who just are doing activism, and as a frontline activist, I understand what it means to be an activist as different from a politician. And because I write books and I've been a champion and an advocate for a new Nigeria over the last 15 years, and I've traveled around the world, I've acquired knowledge and experience, as different from somebody who just sits behind a keypad on the Twitter and just be typing all sorts of, kinds of things. So we see Omoyele Sowore, Omoyele, as somebody who probably he's doing sensationalism on one part, and then on the other part, he probably doesn't fully understand that there is no one-man race in this journey, that a country like Nigeria is going to take time. and it's going to take a collective effort. Anybody that thinks that is about him, you are dead on arrival. You have already failed. That's how we see him. But he's somebody that is well respected within the circle, and the ideologies are just the same. It's just that the methodologies are different. That's how we see him.
All right, we've had about an hour of conversation. We've not mentioned somebody. That is Yusuf Datti Baba Ahmed. Why haven't we mentioned his name? Where is he?
I mean, he's there. He's been very busy. I know he's established another university in Kano. Even the university in Abuja, the base university, has expanded with numerous people. Even in terms of business, he's doing very well, and he's collaborating very well with our principal. I think he's giving more time and tending to his business than anything else. But he's also been consulting, and I can tell you that even though he hasn't made it public, but he's been there, and some of the engagement he's actually been there with our principal. Like when they went to Borno State during the dam explosion, of course he was there, and he was also in one of the other states, But backdoor meeting is always there and encouraging and following through with all that we've been doing. It's just that it's clear and it's important. Like I said, maybe because we are not in an election year, that's why we're not hearing him. When people talk about actually vice presidential candidates don't go around, they don't campaign. I mean, have you ever seen any vice presidential candidate going to campaign? I know that this is not campaign season, but I'm just saying they don't. How do I put it now? Maybe for lack of a better word, if you see somebody in the front line, when Mr. Peter Obi ran as a vice to Atiku, we didn't see him prior before then. Okay, that's what I mean. So maybe that's why we're not seeing much of him right now, but he's very much there and giving us all the support we need behind.
All right, we will take a break, and when we come back, we bring in our audience to join this conversation. We are having a wonderful evening with Dr. Moses Paul. Let's take a break and we'll be right back. right, welcome back everybody to a wonderful conversation with Dr. Mo, who is a coach, a leader in the Free Nigeria movement, and he's been traveling with P2B in the last year and a half. So I'm going to let our audience, who have been very patient and they're waiting to join us. If I bring you in, please ask just one question. Find your best question, ask him, and then we can get to other people. If we have the chance to go around the second time, we will. So that's how we're going to do it. Thank you all for joining. Let me start with you, KJ. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Moore. Good to see you again.
KJ, so good to see you, sir.
I've been following of course, I've been following what you're doing, and I just want to praise you and thank you for all the work. Sometimes this work, you and I know is selfless, and people may not understand how difficult it is living your own pursuit to pursue national interests. So I want to commend you, and God bless you. Well done. I have no question for you. I've been listening to you, and I truly enjoy what you're saying. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
All right. Thank you, KJ. On politics, Ovie, you're next.
Good day, Dr. Mo. I don't know where you're doing. Welcome to our abode.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, my question is very simple. Dele Faro to me is, let me paraphrase him, it's kind of calling for, calling for us to speak. I mean, according to his message today, that he is free because he spoke. In other words, there's a need for us to speak up, but most importantly, collectively, one voice, and back it up with action. He is calling for us to force the federal government to reform the electoral process in order before 2027. And I can't help to notice when you and Dr. Damage were going back and forth, you touch on individual candidacy. If you are preview, to what the Daily Faro team is kind of getting at, is individual candidacy part of the deal that is pushing for the electoral reform? And if that is the case, what we know that we have will be man. What are his chances if eventually we get to 2027 and the constitution the electoral process allows to have an individual candidacy and he's able to stand alone? What do you think are his chances in the scheme of things?
You're asking for the chances of Mr. Peter Obi if there is a room for individual candidacy, independent candidacy.
Pretty much. Yes, sir.
If that was the case, Mr. Peter Obi would have been the president today. I think it was in 1963 thereabout where there was a modification to our constitution that was when the independent candidacy was taken off. And I know because I had a meeting, the first meeting we had about the electoral reform in December at the Merit House, where I invited members of House of Representatives and senators in Abuja. I know that one Honorable Ben Atenebene's bill for independent candidacy, independent electoral observers, and the immediate transfer of the results into the IREV from the polling unit has gone beyond the first reading. It's in the second reading. But you see, Nigerians, and it's important to say this here because we are busy doing nonsense on Twitter. When you go to Twitter, they are saying, Tinubu is in France. Shehi is following him. Yoruba this, Igbo that. We are completely the bulk of the youth who are supposed. President Tinubu is not our problem right now. In context to this discussion, our problem is Akpabio and all the people who are there in that chamber to ensure that whichever bill that is a people-driven bill that we go to that place, lock up the doors, protest until they sign. Because if in one day they can pass bills, they can pass President Tinubu's bills of all the things he wants. In one day, they can pass that bill. But we need to get Nigeria. So I understand what Dele Farajimi is saying. I'm also advocating for that. Because there is Ugo Chindere's bill that was for the electoral reform. I can't remember exactly what it was right now. It was thrown out at the second or the first reading because people are not even aware. You know, when we are having consultations about the bills, there should be engagement across board on social media, on traditional media. People should be protesting. If not, these people that we have, they will just do the bidding of the executive and they will just move. And at the end of the day, we'll be complaining because we are completely distracted. You know, and once the populace is completely distracted, these people will have their way. So I completely align with Dele Farajimi in the call for action to be decisive and to be issue-based in terms of our orientation. If we had independent candidacy, somebody like President Muhammadu Buhari wouldn't have needed APC. Peter Obi would not need any political party because these are people that it is them giving life to political party because they already have a buy-in of Nigerians across board. You know, what many people are not aware of, just yesterday alone, between the last 48 hours, Mr. Peter Obi does between 10 meetings in 48 hours. Sometimes we do 5 states in one day, you know. So there are many more people who are even more ready to vote for Mr. Peter Obi now than it happened in 2023. But because we are not in an election year, people don't know this. This is the power that he has been galvanizing, moving around. And that's why I know that the government of the day, what they hate is to ensure that Mr. Peter Obi does not move around. You know, because his moving around is endearing because Nigerians need leaders that can touch base with them, leaders that are in IDP camps with them, leaders that are in the hospitals with them, leaders that travel the same road where they are kidnapped. They want a leader. That's why in the first New Year broadcast, Mr. Peter Obi said to Mr. President, rather than going to France, can't you attend one of the, what stops us in having a hospital where our president can go to? Are we cost, for goodness sake? Are these not conversations that we should have, for goodness sake? You know, so if today independent candidacy is allowed, Mr. Peter Obi is already president. There's no question to that.
All right. Thank you, Ovie, and thank you, Dr. Mo, for that answer. Let's go to Tony. Okay, Tony.
Greetings, Dr. Rudolph, and to our guests and all those on the platform and those listening. I have one question for Dr. Mo. I want to ask you, what is the perception of Peter Obi's philosophy today in the North?
With what Mr. Peter Obi has been able to do after the elections, first and foremost, I'll tell you that in the last election, we had some values vote, both in Sokoto, in Kebbi, and in Kano, but they were all stolen. And I say this as somebody who is on ground. I speak because we have people on ground and we have that bit. But howbeit, he was not really received in the North in 2023 general election. And when I mean North, I'm speaking specifically with the core North, not just about 7 states in the core North. When you talk about Zamfara, Kebbi, Yobe, Kano, you know, Katsina, those range. Because overwhelmingly, he got the vote in North Central, what we call the Middle Belt. But as it stands today, immediately after the elections, Mr. Peter Obi has dug boreholes from Sokoto to Maiduguri to all. I did those engagement and those pictures, those videos. I took them personally. He's been to villages in Birnin Kebbi where were just a stone throw from kidnappers. So the perception is changing. He's engaging more with Islamic clerics. We are opening up our base, you know, because of course, you know, Nigeria perception, you know, the perception before now was that he was just this Igbo man, you know, and you know, in the North, I'm a Northerner. You know, I was born in Kaduna. I went to primary school in Katsina State. I served in Kano over 20 years ago, and I worked in Maiduguri. So I understand the North. I spoke Hausa before English. So I'm a Northerner, and I understand the trappings of the North. You know, in Northern Nigeria, once your perception is not endeared to the gatekeepers, the elites, the traditional rulers, the imams, and those who control the narrative in the mosques. If you don't have those gateways, then whatever you do is dead on arrival. I can tell you that in the last 1 year, we're opening those frontiers in a massive form. And what is also helping us in that is also with the hunger. The North is suffering. The hunger and the poverty and the kidnapping on the rise is even making the job easier. If what is going on persists upwards in the end of this year, then this regime should just forget it, even without doing anything, because they've also helped Mr. Peter Obi's, his ideology, because what he has done in the Al-Majri schools, what he has done in the Fuman schools, in all the northern schools and all of that, he sits down with the Al-Majri and is eating. And the perception before now is that, oh, it is this Igbo man that drove northerners away from, all kinds of lies and misinformations and just all manner of things that have been said. We are doing everything to change that, because his ideology is being embraced right now, even within the Hausa, the Muslim community, who have sat down with him to listen to him. If you listen to Mr. Peter Obi, if you ever get an opportunity to listen to him, even if you don't like him, one thing you will take home is that this man is genuine, he's true, and he's also committed, and he's also very pan-Nigerian. That he came from a particular region of the country. What his ideologies are completely pan-Nigerian. And I'll say that we're making a lot of inroads. That's all I can say in a very, the Northerners are getting to know him better and accept him for his ideology, and also looking at what he's done in the past, to know that he's not doing these things for the camera. He has been doing this thing even before he became the governor of Anambra State. So that's what I can say, that his ideology now is being received much more than ever before. And let me give two of his ideology that is resonating with the North right now. When he says things like, don't vote for me because I'm a Christian, no, I'm an Igbo man. Vote for me based on my character and my competence. When he says things like, is bread cheaper? Show me where bread is cheaper in the North, as different from any other part of the country. Or is there anywhere where Muslims are buying fuel cheaper so that we can go? So the ideology is resonating with the North, because they can see somebody who has the acumen in terms of understanding, our economic situation. In any case, it is when we fail in terms of our economy, we run to whether we say we are Christians or Muslim, or run back to our different ethnic enclave. It is a failure of governance and leadership. And these are some of Mr. Peter Obi's ideology that is beginning to gain ground in northern Nigeria. When you see people like Dambello and other people resonating the Mr. Peter Obi's ideology in Hausa language and in different language, this is how he's being perceived now, as different from how he was perceived before.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Janaba.
Dr. Rudy, thank you for having me, Dr. Moore and the fellow panelists. Thank you for what you do. I want to give you opportunity to, if you can, Dr. Moore, when you say Malcolm X was violent, what do you mean? I think that word you should rephrase it. Then I hear how you shower a lot of praises to Babangida and the rest of them, which some of us believe those are the people who mortgage our life. And you praise all of those people. And I see how you talk down on Omore Sore on the issue of your disagreement with him. Having said all of these things, I think you are a good guy. I call you Fulani man, and I think you are Fulani. Having said all that, my question is that how do you compare Peter Obi to someone like Mandela, Malcolm X, and MK? I'm talking about Martin Luther King. How do you compare his political view, his humanity, his pursuits, how do you compare them? Do you think they're in the same category? Thank you so very much. That's my question. The other one I said it was because I listened to you from the very beginning, and I have trouble with some of your praises to those people. And when it comes to Sowore, you say something that, and I think you are very political. And after this, I think we should recruit you to do something instead of following Peter Obi. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Moore.
Okay, maybe my, for lack of a better word, Malcolm X is somebody I respect, and I've read a lot about him. It's just in comparison to the approach of Martin Luther King. You know, he has a more forceful approach, if I will use that, you know, as compared to a Martin Luther King that is he believes in completely non-violent. You know, he believes in holding conferences, having peaceful processions, and just reading his speeches. That's what Martin Luther King believes. And I would reiterate, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity. When I spoke about leaders like IBB and other people, it's in context. I said that they were very visionary. I didn't say they were nice people. In fact, I said they killed to do what they needed to do. If you hear me very well, those are not nice narrative, you know. But I said they had a vision of where they are going. If, for example, Murtada Mohammed was only there for 6 months, but in that 6 months, he had a national plan for Nigeria. He moved the FCT to the middle of the country. His policies in the economy, if you read it, you will see it in just 6 months. These were really visionary people, even though they were military. You know, it's like what you see with some of the recent military people. Military, you and I can be military, is just the training and the uniform we wear, you know. But I understand, the praises has to do with visionary. It has nothing else to do. I can't come here and praise people who military people for what. In fact, if you listen to what I said the generation after our founding fathers saw them as a problem. You know, a younger Wole Soyinka, a younger Fela Anikulapo saw the military as the problem. So it was easier for us to deal with them. You know, but apart from that, sitting down and having opportunities to listen to them, I also know that even with their faults and all the things that they've done, they don't necessarily hate the country. So that's the perception. And I would categorically make it very clear here. Omoyele Sowore is an Egbon. I respect him. If Peter Obi is not there, I will vote for him as president. I talk with him. I only disagree with him on the point that Peter Obi is not your problem. You need to see that Peter Obi is in another, he's like you people are on the same team, but in different department. So, and I'll tell you here because I was there with Afe Babalola. I was the only other person that was in the prison when Peter Obi saw Mr. Dele Farotimi inside the prison place. I was there. So I was there with the conversation. There was nothing to do with begging. That's why I replied him. I replied him to say, Egbon, I was there, you know, and it is not expected from you to say this because when eventually you become president of Nigeria, don't let us come and be doing what we're doing with Bwala to you and be bringing out the things you are saying because you were not there. I was actually trying to protect my Egbon. I like him, very intelligent, and what he's doing is just that if we on this side, like I've discussed with Dele Farotimi, if we destroy ourselves, all opposition must come together. And if we say no, that we should sack other people, regardless, the good, the bad, the ugly, the people that are bad today in Nigeria, it's our job to change them. You're not going to kill them. Are you going to kill bad Nigerians? No, you're not going to kill them. And so I know that there's a responsibility. There are things, you know, and permit me to take a bit more time on this. When I sit down with leaders like Paul Kagame, when I sit down with global leaders, I know that in terms of process of timing, there are things that if you do, not because you're compromising, you won't even get to where you're supposed to get. So the game of politics must be played. When you get to be president, there are things you will do and you can do. But if we lose you on the process of getting there, the nation is going to lose. Having said that, my comparison with Mr. Peter Obi as against global icons, and figures who have shaped the narrative of our conversation globally, like a Martin Luther King, like a Mandela, has to do with commitment, has to do with visionary, has to do with loyalty to national causes. Those are my, Mr. Peter Obi does meet those criteria and relevance. Mr. Peter Obi is not loud, but he's not bendable. Mr. Peter Obi does not give us any money. We follow him. He doesn't give you, and he will test you to the very limit. If you're not a nationalist, you can't follow him. What you see is what you get. He's very serious. He's always very serious, and he's also very sincere. When you look, and my choice of words are he's knowledgeable in terms of global relevance and the evolution of what is happening in Nigeria. He understands the starters. He does. He's not only knowledgeable, he knows how and when to attend to those issues. He's very sincere and is very serious. He understands completely leadership as different from just entertainment or what do I put it now? Just playing to the gallery. These qualities are what I'm using to compare him. I can tell you that Mr. Peter Obi has the stamina to stay for 27 years. When he says that he wants to see work in Nigeria, Mr. Peter Obi is not about the next election. It is on those bases that I compare him with leaders. Mandela, after 27 years, he was not about becoming the president. It was about a change in South Africa. Martin Luther King was not running for presidency. He ran to ensure that there is a change in the justice system. People were being killed. That is the basis of my comparison with Mr. Peter Obi. His doggedness and sometimes there are people who just come out, they are loud. I can tell you, I led protests for 21 days. I was in the DSS 3 times. Those people that are making noise, none of them came out. I'm only saying it here. The pictures, the video are there. I was marked to be killed. On 2 occasions, I escaped being killed in Unity Fountain. They brought knives and everything to kill me. Where are the young people that are shouting? So again, we're not playing to the gallery. I can play politics, but I understand nation building. My life is on the line, even with this interview that I'm giving. So we can't joke about our country in terms of building our country across baselines. What Omoyele Sowore is doing is important, but you should never in any way undermine what Mr. Peter Obi is doing, because Mr. Peter Obi will never do that to an Omoyele Sowore. He understands where he is, he understands what he's doing, and he'll give him the backing when the times come. I can't say that here, but I know the timeline for Mr. Peter Obi because he has said it. If that timeline goes off, he will support anybody who is equipped like an Omoyele Sowore. And I think that for somebody like him, he should also understand that too. I will not in any way diminish or say anything to demean what he has done and even the risks that he has taken, losing his brother, disengaging with his family for over 5-6 years. These are things that will go into the history of the books of Nigeria. But I hope you understand my comparison of Mr. Peter Obi to the global icon. He does fit those profile very well, because I say this from somebody who lives with him, stays with him, travels with him, writes for him, take pictures for him. I do all the detailing for him. I am brutally fearless. I can tell you that at 47, I can be the president of Nigeria. I can be dead. I've gone into the woods to deliver people from kidnappers. I am totally fearless. I am better than many people who have ruled this country. And so when I speak to you about Mr. Peter Obi's characteristics and his dedication and forthrightness, I say it with all diligence, and I say it on the integrity of my life.
Thank you so very much. Where are you from in the north?
No. I wanted to say that John Abba, he's from your state of Benue, and he actually ran for office in the past. So we covered that in the conversation. But you can talk to him later for you guys to resolve how you recruit him, as you said. But let's go to a question from the comment before we move on to revolution. There's a question from Kulata. It says, where is the audited account, audited financials from the last election? I think he's talking about Labour Party's audited accounts. So do you have an answer for him?
There was a briefing that was given by Mr. Peter Obi and Aisha Yusufu, who was in charge of the account. Of course, I was there. Afterwards, we got an auditor and wrote to the Labour Party so that the accounts can be audited. But we now met a brick wall, because for political parties, it is only Mr. Peter Obi as a person cannot choose or direct. It's either the party herself through what they call the NEC or the NWC of the party that can ratify who the auditor can be. The only other people who can do that is INEC themselves, and so we had a quagmire there. And of course, that we are in court with the leadership of the Labour Party. So a man who has said he would not relinquish that position, and now it is within his purview to also sit with his neck to decide who can audit the account. That lies our answer. So that's a quagmire. That's where we are.
All right. Thank you. Revolution, you're next.
Yeah, good evening, Doctor, and Dr. Mo also. Good evening to you. I'm speaking from the side of the abnormal Nigerians, and I don't know if you realize that Peter Obi has a new name called Mr. Talk is Cheap. Anyway, I just want to bring that to your notice. Anyway, my question is based on the fact that we hear that Nigerian, Nasori they do, and Peter Obi is trying to form alliance with the people like PDP. Sometimes we hear Kwankwa. So, is it not better for Peter Obi to form alliance with Sowore? Thank you.
Mr. Peter Obi is quite very open to forming an alliance with Sowore. I am not too correct, but I know at one point Sowore said he would never do that because he considered the fact that, now I quote him out verbatim, anybody who has been a governor, a chairman, or has had any political position in Nigeria, he considered them in the same group, and that he would not form an alliance with them. But Mr. Peter Obi, on the other hand, is open to forming alliance with all the opposition. In fact, Mr. Peter Obi believes that all the opposition party must come together to, ensure that they form an alliance going forward. Otherwise, what would even be the basis? Because if you look at the account of the last election, it's actually very pathetic. And this is where I would expect young people to read, because the question you ask is a very important question. If we had close to 100 million registered voters, and out of that, we have less than 20% of that voting in the last election. Bola Ahmed Tinubu had 8 million. Atiku had 7 million. Peter Obi has 6 million based on INEC registration. That is less than 20%. Do you know that by UN standard, any election that is less than 30% of the total registered vote should be redone? So you can see the tension we have in the country. If it was in South Africa, Julius Malema just has 9% of the total vote count, but he's there in parliament deciding some of the key position in South African governance because they run a parliamentary system of government. But here you have, you just have Bola Ahmed Tinubu has 8 million, Atiku has 7 million, these are 6 million. So if you combine both Atiku and Obi, they have more than the sitting president, and yet in Nigeria, winner takes it all. Something is wrong with that system of governance. Even the president knows that he's not the president of Nigeria in context to this conversation, because it's only 8 million people that brought you. You're not the government of Nigeria. You're not the president of Nigeria. And following the fact that Mr. Peter Obi actually won Lagos and won Abuja, that has a clause in our electoral law as against who rules Nigeria. This is a quagmire that we face with the last election. It's totally unacceptable if you look at that. I just need to add those embellishments to your question just to serve some education for our people.
All right, thank you so much. Let me skip. Righteous Man is in Nigeria. Okay, Righteous Man, go ahead. Before I wanted to get to someone who is in and out. Righteous Man, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening from Lagos, Dr. Rudolph and all the panelists. Happy New Year to all of you. I hope you guys are good. Doctor, I've listened to you and I appreciate all your submissions. But there is one thing that is actually a pain to me as an individual. I'm an Igbo man. I'm from Imo State. I've lived in Lagos for over 42 years. In a same country where things are done well, I'm supposed to be called a citizen of Lagos State, even my children. But it's not the same. However, my question to you is this. Allegedly, let me use the word allegedly because of the law that is existing in Nigeria today. Are you aware? Also, is your Mr. Peter Obi, is he aware that there is an allegedly said state policy that will not allow an Igbo man to be the president of Nigeria? So, what do you say about this statement, this policy? And no matter how good Peter Obi seems to be and how hard he works, this state policy will never allow him to be president. So what do you say about that? Thank you.
I mean, I say this on the backdrop of somebody who has traveled globally and as a student of history and one who understands governance and systemic change globally. And I've been opportune to also have met with global leaders to sit down and also discuss and talk and learn from them. Those are for whatever laws or whatever conspiracy, if you allow me to say that, or whatever thing that has been talked about in terms of policy globally, it's just a matter of time. They would change. We're only saying this because I think that our consciousness in terms of like what you're saying right now has not been raised. Doesn't even hold. It's not even something to debate. I can tell you, and I say this as somebody who was on the front line, even during the last election. I did not just go around the country. I also led the only protest against this regime. If we had just, maybe 10,000 people come out on the streets, Bola Ahmed Tinubu will not be the president. I've engaged from EU to the UN to all the people. The question they keep asking is, where are the 6 million people that voted for Mr. Peter Obi? You are waiting for Mr. Peter Obi to tell you to come out and protest when you actually voted for him. Is Nigeria not your country? My elder, I hear you and I hear the pain. Look at Nigerians globally. Rudolph is there, we met in America. You have Okonjo-Iweala sitting at the top of the range where she is. You have Amina J right there in the UN. You have Adesina, you have Philip Emeagwali, you have young Nigerians. You even have Kemi right now, one of the most intelligent young girls we have, black girls in the world, as the opposition leader in the UK, doing incredibly well. And some of the pain that I have when you travel around the world like all of us is that Nigerians are constantly talking about Nigeria. Nigerians are so passionate about Nigeria. What we are not is that we are not patriotic, but we're very passionate. And so that's why you can see, even with the celebration of the Remembrance Day, 15th of January, you can see the incarnation of a lot of bigotry and hate against our founding fathers. I remember having a meeting in North Carolina after the election, where I said to some of the people, when I got to that meeting, they actually thought that I was the one that failed the election in Nigeria. And they were insulting Nigeria. Nigeria is a zoo. Nigeria is this. And I said, and what I'm saying is very delicate, because we mistaken nation building. There are people today that would die for an Igbo cause. There are people that would die for a Yoruba cause. There are people that would die for a Fulani cause. Do we have people that would die for a Nigerian cause? This is the problem. And that's why I'm saying that the question you're asking is, or what you're alluding to, is non-existent. The moment we are unified in terms of our ideology, it's not even something we are going to debate about. It does not even exist. We were almost there at the 2023 general election. And I know that, sir, in your lifetime, you will probably see the Nigeria of your dream. If you don't see them, your children will see that. Where there will be, I mean, it's pathetic, like I said. All over the world, who we are outside the country, is it because you are Yoruba or Igbo? So, but you see, these divisive agents and people who continue to use our tribe and our religion, they understand that Nigerians are very emotional people. So they use that to tip our point and create misunderstanding. If you read the biography of Sir Ahmadu Bello, of Nnamdi Azikiwe and Awolowo, you understand that these people, they are holy people compared to the leaders and founding fathers of America and other people. They were incredible people. They loved Nigeria and they loved themselves. And I say this is an open space. The founding fathers of Britain and America, they are all criminals. It's not my word. Google it and see. They are slave owners. Most of them are pedophiles and criminals. But yet, you will never hear a Briton, you will never hear an American insult the founding fathers. But here we are. 60 years later, we're still tearing ourselves apart. That is why, even though you are a Lagosian, they look at you and call you an Igbo man and tell you to go back to your state. All I will say is that there's a replacement crew coming. There's a build-up that is coming. And I'll use this platform to challenge and speak to the people who understand my narrative. Most of the elders have already failed us, but there are younger people. There are people, and they cut across every tribes and every religion, who believe in the ideology of Nigeria. All we need to do is to keep building. When that time comes, we will chase out all these people who continue to divide us along the lines of religion and our ethnicity.
All right, thank you. We are running out of time. That we agreed with the guest to be with us, but I'll continue to go until he gives me a signal that he has to leave. So quickly, if I call on you, get your question ready and go straight to the question. Okija, you're next.
Thank you, Dr. Moses, for coming. Thank you, Dr. Daveji. Good day, everyone. Thank you. I mean, Dr. Moses, you didn't say a lot of things, but I know that you were trying to be nice. I mean, I'm just gonna say this for Sowore supporters. Sowore has run for president, for like two times. Last election she got like less than 50,000 votes. I'm sure his mother didn't even vote for him. So I'm saying this, because I got pissed off with Sowore when during the election, because he was constantly retweeting all the lies APC supporters were posting against Peter Obi, and he was tweeting them. Sowore is like somebody his broken eye. Only I can fix it. He doesn't make alliances. He doesn't make friends. He just think that he can bully Nigerians and win. He just so angry that people, by destiny or fate, Nigerians love him, that, but despite all his effort, all he did, and Nigerians, they don't, love him like the way they love Peter Obi. So that's about it. And I hope that, this conversation should be about Peter Obi, Tinubu, Kwankwanzo, and Atiku. Those who got less than 50,000 votes, they should go somewhere else and talk. Anyway, my question is this. Based on what is happening, what happened during the last election, and what has happened since then, Tinubu, the electoral commissioners, they are posting, the people they are bringing into INEC, and even INEC, they still call it INEC, whatever, INEC anyway. So does Peter Obi believe that, the next election, I don't know, even though he hasn't said that he will, contest, does he believe that INEC would change? Because, the laws, I read the judgment of the court. Does the law, does he believe that we have to tweak the law, like make it, more, assured that people will believe this is this, because of, like for instance, the IREV and all those stuff? Because I mean, from the way I look at things, if the election is held now, from what we have seen from Imo election, Edo election, or other election that didn't happen with them, it's going to be the same thing. We still have in the system, the Supreme Court, they padded the Supreme or the appeals court and the Supreme Court with people who would be, amenable to them. So does Peter B think that, with all these things, being the way it is, that, 2027 election will be a good one?
All right. Thank you, Okija.
Mr. Peter Obi believes in two things, and I will tell you. He believes that the electoral reform needs to happen. There are areas of the electoral guidance lines that needs to be updated as concerning if you look at, we need an independent observers. We need that bill signed into law. That will allow, for example, if you look at the American elections, you see that projections are made, so because there are independent observers who have, their what's it called, their own IREVs too, across board, so you can imagine if INEC likes, they should go and remove their own, all the other IREV will be working. And when we go to court, we will see if 2-3 other IREV are showing the same result. If they like, they should remove their own. Like I told people, I said the 6 million they gave Peter Obi was the record that came in before they removed the IREV, and then they padded the other ones. So if that happens, it puts checks and balances to the electoral reform. If they're able to transfer the result directly into the IREV from the polling booths, it will also help. However, Mr. Peter Obi also believes that, and I'll rephrase it in my own way. If you come to Abuja or you are in Lagos, people still break traffic lights. It is only in Nigeria that you see police carrying sticks, standing where there is traffic light and still hitting people's car because people will still break it. It is not the absence of law that will make INEC officials go and remove it. Mahmoud and his people, they will still go and criminally do what they are doing, even if you do what you do whatever reform that you bring to it. It is important to do the reform, but until we have people reform, nothing is going to change. And that's why part of what I know, like he knows, is Nigerians who must ensure that they will not just vote, but they do what? But they also defend the vote. What is his to do will be done in terms of ensuring that he would follow through with what is required to ensure that we have the reforms, and also to negotiate power, because it's important to do that. But what is Nigerians to do? Nigerians must also rise up to do that, to ensure that, what is required is done. If we do that collectively, then we will have a new Nigeria. And this is what Mr. Peter Obi does believe. And I can tell you, we're not here to discuss strategies, but 2027 is not going to be like 2023. I can assure you that. I know that a lot of people think otherwise, but no. Whatever happens, we are moving forward as a country. I can tell you that.
All right. Thank you, Okija. Jide, you're next.
Thank you so much, Dr. Damages. Thank you, Dr. Mo, for discussing and for your passion and for your patriotism for our country, Nigeria. Your interest in ensuring Nigeria is developed and stuff. So these are my points, real quick. So my position is, despite the fact that you are very interested in Nigeria's development, just like every one of us here, we are passionate about making Nigeria to get there and liberate ourselves, right? I'm not convinced that an individual from Nigeria, particularly a product of the system, is going to change Nigeria. No individual is going to change Nigeria. Nigeria is a product of a system, and that system has to change. Having said that, I want to say something that you said a lot of things about Peter Obi, which I learned from you today, which I really appreciate. But I also feel like it is heavily distorted to compare Peter Obi with the likes of Martin Luther King and and Nelson Mandela, right? So this is my question. So don't you think that it can also be more convincing if you talk about the and maybe there's not a lot of time, but I would just say it still. Like, don't you think like it will be better discussing policies that Peter Obi intend to implement, and for you to be open to criticism, rather than like talking about like campaigning for him into why he's the individual that fix Nigeria? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, with all due respect, I totally align with you, and I can tell you that Mr. Peter Obi too believes that there is no individual alone that can change the system. It's a systemic problem. However, we have to come together as a people to form a system that will be able to challenge the system. That's why he believes that it's not even the reforms, but that it's people reform. So and that is a policy, that thinking, that process, that ideology speaks to the fact that there is no individual who can bring the change to Nigeria. And that's why you see, like, I'll go back again, for anybody to think, if you think that there are a lot of good people in the system, I can tell you there are PAMSECs, there are people who have retired and they are very poor because they did not, even though they are in the system, they did not, align with the system. And when we speak in terms of systemic corruption and systemic change and all of that, of course, we can say Nigeria is a corrupt nation because it's more than 50%. We can say that we are an insecure nation because of the things that are happening. We can say we're a poor nation because of speaking in context of data. However, you cannot say that everybody is bad in Nigeria. If everybody is bad, then there is no point even discussing Nigeria. We would have gone in the way of, first of all, would not even be one nation. It is still this small seed of people, incorruptible people. It is still this small group of people that are patriotic. We still have people who are completely, against bigotry. We have people who will imprison their father if their father steals in Nigeria. They are not many, but they are there. It is this seed of people that are there. It is from this seed that a critical mass can be built. So even that ideology that is saying that, somebody in the system that comes out of the system cannot change the system is also flawed. Because to be honest with you, there's a conversation that we had with IBB that I cannot say, I wouldn't say it here because is built on strategy. But I will rephrase it in the way that does not indict. To say that we will throw the baby and the bath out, we will never see a new Nigeria. Because for all the nations of the earth, including China, including Japan, including Malaysia, look at all the leaders. Most of them schooled, they learned their ways from the West. They sent people into America, they learned of their ways. If Nigeria is going to change today, if Mr. Peter Obi had won and become president, I can tell you there are over 10,000 Nigerians, billionaires, who would have come into the system with money. That's how a system will change. There's no individual that can change it. It is partnership and collaboration. That is what will change the country. So I agree with you, but you can see the areas where both of us also need to collaborate. And, because at the end of the day, when the father of one of our founding fathers in terms of literature, Chinua Achebe, said in 1983 that Nigeria's problem is her leadership. At that time when he said it, it is 100% correct. Today, it is not entirely correct because we can see that if you look at Nigeria, our political leaders is not different from our church leaders or our mosque leaders or our social group leaders. If you see the process how we elect leaders in our schools, it tells you that our political leaders are not the problem. If you conduct an election in your family, you will see that there's a Nigerian system inside your family. So I agree with you. It's not just leadership that's our problem. Look at how opposition leaders, and Rudolph, this is something to also discuss. Nigerians do not even understand that there are opposition leaders, and that opposition leaders are meant to criticize and to hold the government accountable. When you hold the government accountable in Nigeria, they will insult you, they will abuse you, they will even invite you to DSS. So are we even doing democracy here? Do we even understand, the difference between leadership and politics? opposition leader and governance. There are many things that we need to. We don't even understand political ideology as different from political education. We don't have political parties in Nigeria. All we have are just go, people that move from one place to another. There's no ideology driving anybody, and that's why I believe in the obedient movement, because it is ideologically driven. I said in one interview that Mr. Peter Obi's following is not transferable. So those who are going for merger, it is we running for presidency through Mr. Peter Obi. So if you think that whatever merger you are going to do, if you take our position from us, it's not just about him as a person. So, and I'm also saying that to agree with you that it is not him as a person, it is the collective ideology of a people that will bring the change that is required in our country.
Thank you so much, Dr. Moore. Thank you.
Thank you, Jide. Let's go to a man of prestige. We are rounding up. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Dr. Moore, it's nice to have you on the platform, and Dr. Dame, it's nice to have us on the platform. The question I was going to ask has already been taken by Okija, but that may be what it is. I properly understood your answer. So let me pivot to my second question. It's about the diaspora voting. We have somebody in Aso Rock right now that professes himself to be a democracy, and an autocracy, all those people that has in his office. How come there's no push for a diaspora voting? Are they scared of what we can do or whatever? What's your opinion in that regard? Because there has never been a push. And I remember during the campaign, in some instances, he insinuated that, that's going to be one of his, mentor, but I have not seen anything in that regard yet. Can you speak on that? Or from why you are not pushing anything about diaspora voting? Because small country like Ghana, South Africa, Kenya, they have a diaspora voting, and we're so-called giant of Africa. We can't even account for that. Thank you.
Yeah, it is part of our responsibility collectively as those of us who are in opposition, and also for the obedient that are listening to me. This is what we're supposed to do. We voted for Mr. Peter Obi, and just by doing that, we have about 50 people that were voted into. I think there are about 48 from State House of Assembly to the Red Chamber. We have about 48 people. But guess what? This is where our culture, this is where, again, we have to teach and train our people in terms of political education. The people don't know that they are responsible for the people. It is about legislation. I can tell you, my brother, that we have some people who are in the house, they don't even understand how to write a bill, because we are still I don't know how to put it, we're still very primordial in terms of how we do it. How do you vote for people and you don't hold those people accountable? I told you that I'm following up with the electoral reform. I've had the first meeting in December. I'm following up. I'm holding it, but I'm just one person, and within my reach. Where are the 7 million people that voted for Atiku? Where are the 6 million people that voted for Peter Obi? Where is our collective work? It's not something that just one person or a small group of people can do. If we follow up, what you're talking is simply what? It's simply legislation. It can be signed into law in one day. If we can sign the budget in one day, if we can sign many things in one day, we can sign that in one day. But it's not going to come. It's going to come. This is where you will consult, you will protest, you will hold leaders accountable, you will do everything. And without these things, we are never going to move forward. What they are going to have in the Red Chamber, they're just going to be playing with our sensibilities, buying cars for themselves, going on trips, taking recess, and doing all sorts of things that will not benefit us. Nigerian populace have to wake up, and do the needful for us to have that. We have out of every 4 black men on the face of the earth is a Nigerian. That's our power. That's our power. This is why because of what I know, with diaspora voting, we can change the template of what is happening in our country. So I also challenge those of you in the diaspora to ensure that you create, this is also your role, to ensure that you fund pressure groups that will carry out some of this work. Because this government has weaponized poverty to the point where people can't even eat. They can't buy fuel, they can't move. much less go out and protest. The Bureau of Statistics said that over 130 million Nigerians are going through multi-dimensional poverty, meaning that if they are sick today, they will die. No healthcare, no education, no food, no electricity. It's not Dr. Mo saying it, it's Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. This is where we are. And you can see where those of you in the diaspora, you have a huge role to play, and that's why I when I go on X Spaces and I see some of the conversation with some of the diaspora, and I'm like, we need to wake up as a people. Even those of you in the diaspora, read our law, follow up with the people. Do you know those who are serving? Do you know your governor? Do you know your chairman? Do you know your senator? Get their numbers, put pressure on them, support pressure groups, and get them to do the needful. Read up, and it's our collective work.
All right. Dr. Moore has to go unless he wants to take the two people together who are left. But I got a message that he has to go. If that is the case,
if he can make it snappy, that would be good. I have a meeting of elders who have kept them for over an hour.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. That's why I'm talking about. And we see just quickly one question, and then Nicholas one question, and then he will give us the final thoughts.
Okay, welcome, Dr. Moore. Thank you, Dr. Damages. So my question centers on the electoral reform. I hope as we are pushing this electoral reform as well, you take into account the need to have the INEC chairman not being appointed by the president, that the INEC chairman and his commissioners, their appointments should be done probably by all the political parties coming together and deciding what criteria and all. That is a big way to get him not to be influenced by whoever is in power. That is very important. And then the current INEC chairman, all efforts must be made to ensure that he lives there before the next major election, 2027. And sorry, one more thing is that, just one more thing, Doctor.
We have to go.
Okay, please. Those are what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Nicholas, one question quickly.
All right. Good evening. I can't remember the name of the guest. Anyway, I just want to say something and also ask my question directly to you.
Yeah, quickly, please. We have to.
Yes. Why do you think that Nigeria will work? Secondly, don't you see that Nigeria is not designed to work, because it's already over 60 years after independence and nothing is going?
Thank you, Ndubisi. All right, Dr. Mo, your final thought and the answers.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I think the current INEC chairman, this ending of this year, thereabout, his tenure will expire. We're going to push collectively to ensure that he doesn't return. For me, I think, it's controversial, but I think he should return and correct the mistake that he made, if you ask me. That's what I would even suggest, but, I know he'll probably not return, but if he returns, whether he returns or not is inconsequential. It is what we do on one part. I think Nigeria will work because I am a student of nations across the world. The nations and places that we see today, America is sitting close to what? That 300 years, you have Britain is, many, many years. And I give two examples. The South Africa we see today took over what? 82 years of working, of struggles, of movement, even before Mandela became what? President. Martin Luther King, he was 87 years of working up until when he was killed. There is no nation that is, every nation is a work of man, and I can tell you that. I can tell you that I know that Nigeria is going to work because the passion that I see with Nigerians across board, if Nigeria is not going to work, from the time of our founding fathers, Nigerians would have disintegrated. I say that because it is, we are the same people. It's just the divisive narrative, but I'm not thinking that Nigeria will work. And I know that Nigeria is going to work. 60 years in the life of a nation is actually a very young age. What you're not considering is that Nigeria is not Rwanda. Nigeria has about 600 languages, 250 ethnic groups. except we're going to do the American style where one tribe or one class will just wake up and wipe out another tribe. But if Nigerians are going to work in terms of our melting point of ideology, my brother, it's going to take many years. It might take another 50 years. It might take another 100 years, which is not really bad in the life of a nation like Nigeria. Nigeria is the only other nation. If Nigeria fails, it means that the lot of the black man on the face of the earth is gone. If Nigeria works, if a white man walks into this room right now, you're not looking at a white man. You're either looking at American, you're looking at a Chinese man or a Japanese man. If any black person walks into any place in global stage, do you know what they're looking at? They're looking at the picture of Nigeria. They're looking at poverty. They're looking at inequality. They're looking at corruption. They're looking at all things that are bad. That is what will happen if Nigeria works. And Nigeria is the only country, black nation on the face of the earth that has a population, that has a human capital. My PhD is in environmental resource planning. I know the natural wealth of the country, but that is even nothing as compared to the human capital that we have. Nigeria is among the, Nigeria can donate 10 million youths to go and fight war today. If Nigeria decides today to meet the nursing deficit of the world, where they say the world is going to need about what? It's going to be in deficit of about 30 million nurses in the next 20 years. Nigeria can decide to put nursing school in every local government to meet that challenge. We have the population, we have the resources. And guess what? Every Nigerian can be a doctor, can be a lawyer. We are so gifted as a people. This is how I know. What we're not having is enough patriotic people who will teach and speak about Nigeria rather than speaking about Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, and the things and religion that is dividing us. We need patriotic leaders. And this is why I support a leader like Peter Obi, because he said, don't vote for me because I'm an Igbo man. Vote for me because I have the capacity. Vote for me because you can see what I can do. My pan-Nigerianness. Nigeria will work in our lifetime, but it might take time.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Mo, for joining us. We really appreciate this time. And hopefully in no distant time, we will invite you to
Thank you, Dr. Mo.
And join us again. Thank you. And we'll
Thank
take
you.
a break. When we come back, we'll do a review. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. All right. We're still going to take a break.
Onye ọma zoro obi o, akwa nwa nwa zoro obi o, Max ịbịa bunyegokwanụ m n'ofu ube n'azụ ụlaga n'ịbịazigo, mmanwụ ụlaga do n'ịbịazigo, akwa nwa nwa ilochi o, biko rapụ zoro ka ọ nabazi ya. Onye ọma zoro biko, abọmma wetara ndosari, ịbịa wunye n'egwana m ụlagado n'ịbịazigo, mmanwụ ụlagado n'ịbịazigo, abọmma nwa ilochino, biko rapụ zoro ọ nabazi ya. Mazi welcome up. Odogu no kwere zinaka. Onyo mani gadele mo. Mazi ni mazi kama. Ibu go with melody. Odogu na chala noka, ezi wane mliga delemo, olagado ni bezigono, wilo chilo igora uzoro anabazi say anyamazoro de abama wazoro de sorry ibya moyano kwana mo ofube naru mulaga doni biazugo nazaboy mulaga doni biazugo abama wilo chilo bigora buzoro anabazi eyes edobu kenero bikechofo ama kwa mnika gogogia oligwe kwelo ikejomo bele bege hey you want eku kampune kene omogo ndi nso chukwu emekalumo ike chukwu negaji esi nwanne m ekene mi ịlapụlụ ife niile na-eme wee bịa ka gosili na anyị na gị bụ nwanne Wisdom ga-adị ka nye gị maịkị ka ogobanya bụ egwu isili mmasị ọ bụ na-etiri egwu a malụkwa malụ n'imego m ife ọjọọ wee sị gị nwanne m ife ọkụ na ịchọlụ na ngeme Wisdom onume ekene gị gbamanwe ihe ihe biko lapụ zoro 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 Deduru joy na bugwa Hausa Sokoto Ujembe mwilo Anu solo nwe manofia nara Onye urozuke
Tó fẹ́ kú torí ẹ̀ ọwọ́ ẹni ló ti ṣànú kọ́ ayé la bá ayé la fi sílẹ̀ sí ọ̀nà èyí yóò.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for hanging in here with us. It's been a wonderful day here in New York City. I hope it's beautiful wherever you are in the world. And we want to do a brief review of what happened. Let me start by hearing the views of people who didn't get a chance to weigh in. I think apart from only
people like us,
only CM. CM, let me start with you.
Okay. Actually, I was listening from the good evening, everybody. Anyway, so to say. Actually, I was listening from the sideline. The thing is, all that he said, for me, they are no news to me because I follow P2B too. But as an insider, I know there are one or two things he may not disclose. and then which I may not be privy to. But all said and done, the only challenge is not that people know that there's not P2B becoming a president of Nigeria. The only challenge is though that what is it called, that conspiracy that no Igbo man will be president of Nigeria. People may deny it. I knew about it since 1997 through Chubo Okadibo. That was why Okadibo was so furious, and he was challenging everything to prove it. That either he bring the country down or they do away with it. But you see, maybe that's what I'm saying. Maybe the suffering we made them to change, but they've forgotten that until an Igbo man takes over the leadership of Nigeria, Nigeria is not going anywhere. If they like, let them continue rotating it between Yoruba and the Fulani. It doesn't mean anything. 2027 or the way they say, if he moves to the north, is to the Fulani is going to. They are getting ready. What is the name? Nuhu Ribadu. That is the person they want to hand over to maybe after Tinubu. Nuhu Ribadu from the northeast. The same Fulani. If he comes down, maybe by then, maybe Bajabi Amila must have matured. They go down again. So all these things, they are rotating Yoruba Fulani. We know the game they are playing. And Nigeria will continue to sink. It's as simple as that. You can't hold an Igbo man down and not sink. Even we will even get up and leave you in the where you kept us. So it's as simple. I know why he's saying. I know what he's saying. He's quite passionate. He's very open. You know, he's so happy to associate with P2B, even without saying so. But we know what we are facing. So that the Igbo that we are, it's not really the problem that the Igbo the people see P2B to be. So that is the thing. When it gets to politics, they will tell you, oh, we didn't want an Igbo man. They will break up the country. They will do this. They will do that. Then let Igbo man go now, so that you have your country. You will still force Igbo. You see the contradiction I can never understand is this. You don't want Igbo man to be number one citizen, and you don't want them to go. Is it possible? It's not. Something must have to give. Allow Igbo to go and rule so that you can enjoy your Nigerian crude oil. You say no. Igbo man must be part of it. Then when we raise up our hand to be president, you start telling us that Igbo has to do this and do. Look at where Nigeria is. Even those that participated in slaughtering Biafrans, more than 5 million, they are not the people having refugee camp all over, and nobody is talking to them. And you see them shamelessly, they will come and still be talking of P2B as if P2B is the cause of their refugee camp all over their places. So we know what is going on. That's why sometimes when they are saying all these things, we know the game they are playing, but it's not leading them anywhere. Nigeria is sinking, and it will continue to sink until an Igbo man takes over. If you don't want an Igbo man to be president, allow Igbo, tell Igbo, find your way out of Nigeria. They releasing Nnamdi Kanu, our leader, they will leave. It's like you can't have it both ways. You can't force me to be part of Nigeria, and then I can't enjoy my full citizenship like every other person within the context of Nigeria. 1999, Igbo voted for a Yoruba man. It was Omoluabi. Amorawana. 2007, we voted for Fulani. That one Ranka Dede. Ranka Dede. 2011, we voted for Ijoman. Asawana wana. Ijokime emie. Everybody laugh. Asawana. Then 2015 again, we voted for the same Asawana. They started punishing us that we didn't vote for a Fulani man, Buhari. 2019, the same Fulani have to bring himself again. 2023, Igbo man come, they say, that's one Igbo man. I mean, look, you see, that's what they call generational shift. The generation that are coming up in Igbo, they know all this trick. They know all these lies. So there's no way. That's what I wanted, but I don't want to spoil his fun. If I had come in, this is what I will educate him on. We know all these things. Let P2B do. He's a humanitarian. Give them a borehole. Donate money anywhere you like. That's all. It's as simple as that. Rather than allow Igbo man, they go and switch up the beavers. And who invented the beavers? An Igbo man. Electrical engineering graduates from UNN working with INEC. Yet they are making noise. Forget about all this. We know what is. Nigeria continues to sink until Igbo man takes over the leadership. Failing it, nothing is going to happen. If you like, rotate power between Fulani and Yoruba for the next 100 years. It's not going to work. it is spiritual. Until you break that jinx, it's not going to work. The way you do it is that either you allow Ndibo, get out, go and be your own Biafra, then we leave. Or if we must be in Nigeria, we must assume number one citizen. Why should a Fulani man rule? Yoruba has taken, Ijo has taken. When he goes to Iboton, they switch up the beavers and start to tell you different political permutation. If this man collaborate with Showore, if you combine with this, what of if you switch? What of beavers? What of beavers? Today we are electing a certificate forger, career criminal, and you want things to be good. I bet let me stop so fast. Let me not. I don't want to go back into,
All right.
things are better left unsaid.
Thank you, CM. There's a question for you, CM. Team Ajek wants to know, if you had a choice, would you want to leave Nigeria or want an Igbo man to lead Nigeria?
You see, I will answer it this way. We've made all efforts to lead. The efforts we've made to lead compared with the efforts we made to leave, the efforts we've made to lead is greater. So I will leave because there's no need. I will leave. I will leave. You don't need to be big to lead. Israel is look at their landmass. Today they have a power in the world. So that is, in fact, the essence why I want Igbo to leave is this. That is the only opportunity we will have to compete with the Jews in terms of technology. We compete with Indians in terms of provision of professionals all over the world. Then we compete with the Chinese in business. These are the people that God created us to compete with. The Chinese, the Indians, and the Jews. So finding ourselves in Nigeria is just a misnomer. That's where we are supposed to be. After all, a Harvard professor said there are 4 most important ethnic groups in the world. The Indians, in terms of where we see them everywhere, the Igbos, the Chinese, and the Jews. Only one of them hasn't got a homeland, which is the Igbos. Israel has got their own, a homeland with a flag at the UN. India, China, the same. It's only in the Igbo. So why? What? There's nothing good in leading Nigeria. The Fulanis have been leading, and the Yorubas. How today Yoruba even want to get out, despite the fact that they are in charge. So why people that are leading want to get out? Igbo man will never lead. Now you go come die to build them. I beg you. We make we live like this. Thank you.
All right, thank you, CM. Okay, let's hear reviews of a conversation with Dr. Moses Paul. Let's go to John Abba.
It was a very knowledgeable guy. I watched the program from the very beginning. The only problem we are having is when we have those good people work so hard, risk their life, and those cancer in the spine like CM and Pansat destroy their work, then it's like 1 foot forward and 20 backward. It's okay to disagree with people on any issue and have your stand. It's not when your electricity or internet go off wherever you stay and then it's Hausa Fulani that does it or Fulani that do it. All those is poisonous. No ethnic group have the monopoly to become a Nigerian president. You have to walk across. That is politics. And he understood politics. Peter Obi understood politics. But I disagree with Peter Obi on which is his own, he have the right to do that. He's so much romance with those that mortgage our lives. Babangida, Obasanjo, and the rest. But I always know that he's a good guy. But I think he should have distanced himself from those people a bit. Baba Lola that he went to see, I don't think Baba Lola know him. Because the other guy said that he thought he was Dele Faro to me. And that is like, and I always tell you guys that as of Baba Faro to me's age, where I come from, where brought up, where culture, if somebody offend you at that age, they will give you 7 stone that when you die, turn to Baba or Legba, go pursue them on the other side. Don't waste your time. Don't go after them. You don't even have the energy. And I was right. I was confirmed to be right that Baba Lola doesn't know himself, know where he is. Because the guy said he was furious that the person you organize to go and capture from Lagos, you keep him in prison, and now you see somebody and you think that is the same person. So you should tell you the people that is still partying around with. These people don't know themselves. Worry about the youth. But one thing outstanding in his statement is that say Peter Obi is one person. Where are the 6 million plus? uh, that voted for him? Where are the other millions from Atiku? Which is trying to say that, and I would love to know where he come from in Benue. I know Benue people are very brave. Remember Oka Coop and all of that. We are very brave people. KJ can say that. Maybe he can be honest about that. He's sometimes honest when you give him tithe and offering. It is a very knowledgeable guy. I like him. But then let us take all this. And I asked him the question because oftentimes many people understood what is going on. I gave him the opportunity to take that word called violent against Malcolm X, and he did. Because that is not the word he should have used. There's no violence. He's just a different person. Then also he understood that about Sowore thing that Sowore personality is different. I just don't know the word he uses. You don't have used that. He understood all of those things. So you are always bringing the right person. We have to change your glasses. I think you are seeing very well now, Dr. Rudy. So keep on the good work. And I saw me yesterday. It's like when I'm married. So the way I can confirm that this is national TV, but I always tell people to respect you. You roll your program every 30 minutes. You are an icon in the business of YouTube. When you hit, let me know. Come to the house.
All right, John Abbott, thank you so much. Let's
Yeah, but is that me? Is that me?
let's hear Mike. Michael, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, everybody. All the panelists. Doctor, I say respect to you. Kudos, good job.
Thank you.
I missed most of the interview with the doctor, but actually, what I want us to, just to add little thing is, if we as Nigerians, we can put away our sentimentality, I think that country will move forward. Let's leave this trouble, this thing to the side. I believe the country, Nigeria is a great country that if we can move forward without this sectionalized and sentiment about which tribe to rule which tribe, I think we're gonna find out that we are a great, because I tell you what, I tell a lot of people, Nigeria of all in the nation in the world, for us to come together without that number of ethnic and languages, we are living together. Tell me which other country in the world has the same nature or economic, socio-economical differences, and they are making it. So that's what I'm thinking about, that in our political destiny, we need to find a way that we can get above our sentimentality, especially when it comes to tribe. We're going to be a better place. So I missed most of the interview, but that's just coming in just to chime in my 1-2 point. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you, Michael. Richards, you're next.
Yeah, good evening. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yeah, happy New Year from Germany. Yeah. I listened to your guest, a very very brilliant young man. But I think what he's fighting for in Nigeria is like a wishful thinking. As an Igbo man, I think I've seen Nigeria is it's not made for Igbo people. The panelists might disagree with me, but that's the way I look at it. And we have to tell ourselves the truth. How long are we going to continue discuss all this? Every 4 years we discuss this thing, and then after it, nothing happens. I believe that at this time, what we should be discussing in Nigeria is, let us sit down. Let us sit down as human beings. God created us the way they created the white people. Let us sit down and discuss how are we going to live in this country? Are we going to live together? At what conditions, what terms and conditions are we going to live in this country? I see 2027 is not, why are we discussing 2027? 2 years from now. And after 2027, we focus again on 2031. Why not these people sit down and say, okay, this experiment, we have tried it for 60 years. It's not working. Which way forward? Because I know that this thing, for me, I know that this thing called Nigeria is not working, not only for Igbos, but for many people. Because after Tinubu now, 8 years, definitely Tinubu will stay there for 8 years. After Tinubu, it goes back to the north, to the core northern Nigerians. After it will come back to the south. Whenever they tell you that the power should come back to the south, they mean that the power is going back to Yorubas. Whenever they tell that the power is going back to the north, they mean the core northern Nigeria, mostly the Fulanis. And then we continue behaving as if that we're not human beings. I've lived here for 34 years. Many small countries are more richer than Nigeria. They will tell you, Igbo people, we live in a landlocked area. And then Switzerland is landlocked. Hungary is landlocked. Austria is landlocked. Luxembourg is landlocked. Serbia is landlocked. Are we better than these people? Are we not more, even in population, in everything, are we not far better than these people? But look at the way they're living. So these people, Peter Obi is a good guy, but Peter Obi will never smell that as rock. 1993, I was in Lagos. I listened to one man, an Igbo man, very elderly man. This man was talking on one of the radios in Lagos State. This was 1993. And this man was a very old man. He said that after the Civil War, because he was a captain in Nigeria Biafra War, he said after the war that the Southwest and the North made an agreement that Igbo man will never rule Nigeria. That was 1993. I just visited Nigeria then. And this man, in fact, they were trying to, that was even under I think Babangida. This radio was kind of, after 2 minutes, after 1 hour, they closed the radio. So what we're talking about is, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. If it's going to happen, why not they make it that this way, that at least make it constitutional, that let it be rotational, so that if it comes to your own turn, you know that now it is your own turn. If they really want Nigeria to work. Thank you.
All right, Richards, thank you so much. Igbo Basics. So what we're going to do is, I know there are people who have been waiting. Igbo Basics, after you and Ike, we go up and talk to the other people before the new people who joined. I don't want Kenneth to think I'm coming to him soon. Igbo Basics, go ahead. We can hear you.
All right, good afternoon, Dr. Damages and fellow panelists. All soldiers never die. They just fade away. And why I say that is that some of us who came abroad, we came to get the golden fleece and go back. Some of us did. We got the golden fleece, we went back. We tried to bring our American mentality into the system of credibility and honesty. And we learned two things. It's either you join them, become crooked, or you rough it out, or you leave. And we make choices. I listened to Dr. Mo speak here, and I'm speaking as an old soldier. Indulge me if you will. I've gone through it through Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. I'm talking about the people that I've had the privilege of seeing at Just Stadium in 1964. Through Dr. M. Akbara, through Aguiyi, through Odumegwu Ojukwu. I'm just speaking from the people that I've had the opportunity to be in their presence. The issue is very simple. There was a civil war. We fought the war, a war that we did not intend to fight, but we fought the war. And that war taught us a lot of lessons. We came out alive. The conspiracy, if you will, started way before the Civil War. That alliance between the North and the West, which is still holding up to tomorrow, let's not deceive ourselves. CM has spoken here. Some others have alluded to the same process. Dr. Mose, he spoke very well. I tried to get in to say a word or two. The point I'm trying to make here is this: if you've lived through MPN and the rest of the group of the time, if you live through NCNC, let's start it from there, till the current PDP, PPC, APC, and the rest of them, and you know that the same game has been played all along. Dr. Moses' presentation about Nigeria must work, it's a very good idea. And his concept of the revolution, if I use that word, the people, maybe in our lifetime, it will come to pass that people hungry enough will tear ahead and make things happen. We'll wait to see. I'm going to sum up my word. All of you, all of us here, except if you are from a different country, you still carry the same green passport as we speak. Some people tore their own up and said they don't want to have nothing to do with that place again, called Nigeria. The only thing I'm going to have to say to the young ones who are here is the fact that, you know the Mbe, turtle, the tortoise. My people say the rope where they tie tortoise, the rope no go rest, the tortoise no go rest. That's just a fact of life. So the rope where Nigeria, and by Nigeria I mean the West and the North, tie the East. You no go rest. The East no go rest, the West no go rest, the North no go rest. There is so much impunity. Come on now, we know the truth. There is so much. Don't even say corruption, this and that, name it. It's a mirage of it. When the owners of Nigeria decide that Nigeria will go forward, I am in support of what Dr. Mo said. Nigeria can get to the moon. Nigeria can do so much. As we speak, Nigeria is buying arms when Nigeria should have been manufacturing Ogbunigwe and all other kinds of arms. If you don't recognize what you have, you are God-given. I'm not even talking about the minerals. The decision that was made by the colonialists, at some point we stop blaming them. At some point, we as Nigerians have to say, you know what, enough is enough. We've paid our dues to Britain as Nigerians. But the fact is that the leaders of today who have been planted there, it's so much that even the American system that you look at, okay, do you know, during the last election, some of us who have completely washed our hands off of anything politics, we don't want to be bothered, we showed up on the stage. Why? Because Peter Obi showed up on the stage. A lot of people mortgaged. Some people sold their refrigerators. Some people sold their wristwatches. Some people even gave up their phone just to genuinely support what they believe in. I'm not going to even talk about Sowore. Sowore is a young man who has come of age and is doing very great. But all in all, without alliances, Sowore is going nowhere. Without alliances, Peter Obi can do as much as he can as a genuine person. He won't succeed. So my submission for today is very simple. Dr. Damages, keep up the good work. Keep bringing the people you are bringing. Soldier come, soldier go. Barak go day. We all come. We see Nigeria. I'm looking into 70-something now. We go there, we go play our part, we go. KJ, next time I pass Uzuakole, I will make sure that I'll go to Elas Uzuakole, because that is something that I truly, truly appreciate. Why do I say that? I sum it up to say to you all, if you don't know how to practice the act of bushcraft, I practice bushcraft. If you want to know what bushcraft is, join me. When I go back that way, if you want to see me, including Dr. Damages, you go come for bush, come see me. That is my intention. Take this away for every one of you. We are in America, we're in London, we're in different places. One day they go ask you, say, oh boy, where you come from, sir? Even though you've had children here. That is the time you realize it is time to go. But if you so decide to be buried in a foreign land, that's equally okay. But for some of us, we have made the way, and all our politics are via whiskey. I will see you in the bush very soon. Even if it's the bush for America. Thank you all, and keep up the good work, Dr. Damages. Don't give up. I will say bye-bye to us by hoping that the 75th birthday anniversary of Chief Zebediah Okorigwe Nwobe, alias 430, the man from Nobi, I will hope that we will be able to air it up here. Now that the man is still alive, enjoy him. Not when he go, all of you are going to say, chai, chai, chai. It is time for us to do something about it.
Thank you, Prophet. I would have stopped you if you didn't mention Chief Zebediah, because I know. All right, Ike, you are next.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. Happy Sunday to all of us. Like everyone has said, I joined from the camp when I was coming back from the church. I listened to Dr. Mo, and I came home and I listened to the whole interview. Like, for me, as an obedient, not obedient on the social network, obedient in truth and in reality, whatever he says here, it's not new to me. Some of us who are committed to obedience, who are tirelessly working for obedient movement. There are so many things, like as he said, he's not going to say here, but everything he said here is a few things that I know, some of us know. I want to also to my brother Opera from Germany, who spoke right now about a few minutes ago before Ibo Bezik, who said Peter Obi would never ever smell a sorrow. I wanted to let him to correct his language, because he woke up this morning. He didn't know how he woke up from his sleep this morning. So he do not decide who becomes anything. It is God that gives power. Men can steal power, but at a certain time, they will release what they're holding. So for him to say he would never smell a sorrow, I would have loved him that he's still here, for him to withdraw that, because that's a very wrong statement to make. You do not decide the future and destiny of anybody. God has destined each and every one of us for a purpose in this life. And I wanted to remind him that even though he has lived in Germany for 34 years, the question would have been, have you realized the reason and the purpose why God sent you to go to Germany to spend 34 years? Because you might be 34 years in the place, but you are still lost because you don't know why you are sent there to be. And that is what is happening to so many of us who are living in diaspora. We don't know why we are where we are. We only just focus about the material things that we make. But most of us don't know the reason why God has sent you, giving you the opportunity and the privilege to be where you are. It's not all about money. It's not all about acquiring material wealth. There is something that God has sent you there to go and do and use it for the betterment of your people back in Nigeria. It's not just about money. So I hope that somebody, he comes here and try to listen what we are talking about, because such statement is not what, in this, somebody who has lived in Europe for 30 something years is coming to the national platform to say something like that. You don't decide the destiny and future of anybody. God owns the life of every one of us. And if I sleep and wake up today, the only thing I owe is to thank God, because I don't know how I slept. I don't know how I wake up this morning. And which means that I know that a supernatural power that controls the atmosphere where I exist. So I cannot say Dr. Damage's station can never exist. Which power do I have? His call, his destiny, and his future is different from my own. So I can only try to work against him. But if God has destined this station to succeed and become the best of CNN, it's going to happen. It might not happen in my time when I'm still alive. It might happen when I'm still good, but God has signed in that this station is going to be better than CNN. So which power do I have to say the network of Dr. Damages is not going to exist? No. So I want my brother to understand that when we are making a comment in a place like this, we should try to, chew the words that we use, because all of us are grown up. Nobody's still sucking his mother's breast that is still here, right? And I want to sympathize with my brother CM. I know how emotional I can be, and I know what he's feeling. It's the feeling of 95% of every Igbo man, rightly or wrongly. What is important is that we are not going to stop people who are aspiring to be leaders in Nigeria. We can't stop anybody. If God has given us somebody that we know that has had the credential, the capacity, the capability to lead Nigeria, we go with the person. And if it is just like what Mo said here, if the 6 million people that voted for Mr. Peter Obi and 7 million people that voted for Atiku, you combine it together, it's about 15 million votes. Automatically, they are supposed to be the people that are leading Nigeria today. But because of the kind of system of government we practice in Nigeria, it is the winner takes all. And the man who is there didn't get up to 37%. He's ruling Nigeria with about 30-something%. So which means, it's not me and you that is put him where he is today. So we should work together. It's not anybody. Sometimes people come here and say, Peter Obi. No, Peter Obi has never said this. If it is not him, no other person. That has never been his philosophy. Mr. Peter Obi has always believed, as a nationalist, has always believed Nigeria can be better, but we're going to work together. He has never said it's going to be him, right? So the comment of Moa about Sowore, he was trying to be respectful, but like Okija asked the question, Mo said something that I've always said here, like when people who support Sowore come here. I used to tell them, P2B is not the problem of Sowore. I don't know why he's after. They can work together. Because you cannot say you can't work with anybody. How are you going to work with? Are you going to work with spirit? Are you going to work with human being? We have left you. You have worked for so many years. You can only garner 5,000 votes. And somebody who just worked one to have about 6 million votes, given him by INEC. So why can't you understand that politics is different? There is difference between politics and activists, which Mo said here today. And I've always said that someone is an activist. If you want to play politics, you should come and put on the suit of a politician, because he's not a politician, he's an activist. And if he really is an activist with Nigerian politics, he's not going to go anywhere. He can't even win his election in his family. You see, this is Nigerian politics. So you have to make sure and understand that we have to work together. We have tried it in 2023, and that was the beginning of obedient movement, and that movement is spreading. He's not saying that it must be P2B. No. Like he said, yeah, P2B had a target for himself. If he doesn't work from that time, somebody else must take over. And that's what we all should understand that. So let us not, my brother CM, I know how painful it is. We feel the same pain. The same blood that runs in you runs in me. But we should also try to understand that this is Nigeria, and we're going to continue to work and see how we can be able to get a better Nigeria for every one of us. God bless you.
All right. Thank you, Ike. Let me, I have to time people now, otherwise we're not going to leave here. And there are people who are back end who are trying to join us. So let me go up. I'll come back to you, Kene and Tony. But let me go up and catch the people who are up there. Let me start with you, KJ, because I may have to hand this over to you at some point. KJ, let me go. KJ, Righteous Man on politics, and I'll come down to Kene. Go ahead, KJ.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Rudolph, and everyone person in the panel and those on the keyboard. I recognize all your contributions and efforts.
Dr. David, you know I'm in Nigeria. Privilege to be in Nigeria.
Okay,
that's
yes,
true,
please.
that's true.
Okay,
Yeah.
I defer to him.
I forgot. All right. You
So
win.
can I give us the good news and make sure you
All
bring
right.
Ube
All
and
right.
Okra.
Can I go ahead? Okay, KJ, hold on. Okay.
One good news was
Kenny,
that I
I'm
was blessed with
disappointed. I'm disappointed.
fresh ofora. Fresh ofora
No
yesterday.
Musa in
I
Kano. We
really
say
miss ofora.
I'm in Nigeria.
Yeah. So this is it. I will start with but why on the comment section. It's not just that the Kulata is being recognized for giving, for donating to the platform. You can as well try that now. Just go click that $sign, put like $20, and your comment will be recognized immediately. It's automatic. So Kulata is doing his thing. So we are used to him, and it's blessing the platform. We get reprimand here every day. We're becoming used to that. It's all about being Nigerian. In our place they say you can't please everybody. That's why we are Nigerians. Somebody was the doctor that was invited here today. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to tune in. You know how Nigeria is. So, but I know the guy is a well-grounded person. So I tried to rewind back to hear what he said. But I think he was saying something about the election should be, that the election was less than 20% of voters. The people that voted were 20% of the total registered votes. And for that reason, the election should have been, redone. I agree with him. And I, for one, I am one person that till tomorrow, I am of the opinion that there was no election in 2023. Aso Rock is vacant, probably being occupied by a miscreant, a criminal, a drug pusher. Nobody would change that opinion about me. You can come on and reprimand me. That is fine. I'm used to that. But the truth is that we have no leadership in Nigeria. And somebody here was saying that if we are humans, I know the man, he was emotional. I don't know, Oga, I don't know how far you've known these people called Nigerians. You have been emotional that if we should come together as human beings to, discuss on on the way forward. Unfortunately, Nigeria is made up of two type of things: human beings and non-human beings, living things and non-living things. So, in as much as the human beings are trying to make things work, the non-living, non-human beings, if there is anything like that, are destroying it. I, for one, anyone that is supporting APC, right from their presidential candidate down, anybody that is supporting APC is not a human being. Simple. You can block me on the road and slap me, no wala. But you are not a human being. That is me saying it, right? I cannot classify you as a human being. Simple. Nigeria is gone. Nigeria has been captured. There is nothing anybody. We can all come here, as one said it on the comment section, to relieve the stress. We can come here and make noise and talk. As it is today, Nigeria has been hijacked by correct criminals. I'm not talking about petty criminals. I'm talking about serious criminals that can use pen, they can use gun, they can use anything. So, me, I'm not a criminal. I don't even know how to use. I've never, triggered before. I don't know how to use those things. But these people, they are in the they are everywhere, So Nigeria is captured. What we should be talking about now is how to destroy that thing that brings them together. That national cake, that thing they call national cake. How to destroy that cake so that they will all find their way. And the only way to do that is you, the Igbo man, you, the Hausa man, you, the Orobo, you, the Asian, you, the Ososo man, we all come together and say, you know what? Let's go our separate ways. Let's destroy that Aso Rock. Let's just, break everything apart. Let everybody go. That is the only way, because these people are a bunch of lazy idiots. Okay, look at the tax reform that the illegitimate president is trying to bring, for them. They said no, that they are so lazy, they cannot hustle. That is what they're telling us. They are so lazy, they cannot generate income on their own. They cannot generate revenue on their own. They are so lazy. That is what they're telling us. And you want us to continue with this style of leadership. Nigeria is gone. There is no way. Tell me one thing that makes you a proud Nigerian, and I will tell you how you are not a human being. Simple.
Okay. Kene, thank you.
Dr. Damages, Kene, please, one word. Ejalo, Yavisije. A hunter does not say everything. A hunter does not say everything he sees in the bush. I'm not going to ask you whether you went in there with this or you went in there with the other one. But all I'm trying to say to you is Ejalo, Yavisije. Dr. Damages was there, and I saw him pounding the mortar, and he went the sweetest way. Before you could look for Dr. Damages, he was on camera with the great one that visits us here. I mean, he did the type of thing that I expect you to do, which is go like a mirage, come like a mirage. But if you think, say, you could talk that American grammar there, they go wait for you for Isolo Airport or whatever it is. So, because that's what I'm trying to say to you.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Kenneth. Thank you, Igbo Basics. So let's go back to Tony. I'll come down to you, but let's go to KJ. KJ, go ahead. KJ, can you hear me? KJ is a moderator, so it's for those who do not know. But...
I can hear you now. Sorry,
okay.
my system is acting up. 1 minute.
Yeah, KJ, we can't hear you very well. Let's move on. Let's go to another Nigerian, Righteous Man. KJ, fix your thing. We'll come back to you. Righteous Man, go ahead.
Yeah.
Righteous Man.
Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. Igbo basics, very long time, sir. God bless you. Happy New Year. KJ, everybody who's here, I greet all of you. Nigerian case is so pathetic that to handle it, you have to be very, very careful, you know. I will choose my words because the freedom we enjoyed 2024 had been removed from us. That freedom is no longer existing. So every platform is being monitored now. Every language you use, every word you use, you will account for it. So we have to be very careful, like Ekene. Just be very mindful. The people you are dealing with, they have gone a step ahead of you to make sure that your freedom is no longer what it used to be. So what I just want to say is this. Like I always say, a one Nigeria would be very wonderful. If you ask me to vote if there is a referendum, a one Nigeria that is principled, built on equity and fair play. A Nigeria that we guarantee my security, guarantee my children's security on the basis of merit, not religion and not ethnicity, not according to tribe. That whatever you become of in life is on the basis of what you have achieved meritoriously, either through academic excellency or through entrepreneurship. Then you are given that position to occupy. That is a Nigeria I am praying and believing God it can be. I don't think that injustice is acceptable to any human being. Because if you travel from Lagos to Enugu, you will get over 200 military checkpoints. And in most cases, you pay. And there is no constitutional backing or federal government or state policy that says a motorist that is traveling home for festivity or for burial should be paying at every checkpoint. And that only happens more in the southeast, from Lagos going, because they know that is the major road the southeast plied. It is injustice. It is something we have to campaign against. Let one Nigeria be one Nigeria and reflect in everything that we do as a people, not be sectional. Let the right that a northerner receives, the right he enjoys, let it be the same rights a southwesterner, an easterner, and a south man enjoys. That is my cry, and that is what I've been crying of since I joined this platform. There is no equity in Nigeria. An Igbo man is seen as an outcast. An Igbo man is seen as a third-class citizen, not even second class. No matter how brilliant you are, your brilliance can't guarantee you anything. Some of the selected individuals that are Igbos, that you see in the national platform are those who are enjoying the Nigerian state, and they don't care what happens to the ordinary Igbo man. Can I say this as I end? Ordinary Nigerian, we want P2B to be president. Whether outside Yoruba, Igbo, Efik, Shekiri, Ibini man, Benue man, every ordinary Nigerian wants P2B to be president. But the selected elites, the bourgeoisie, those who believe that they own Nigeria and they decide what happened in Nigeria, they allegedly claim Kabaz. We never want him to be there. That is just the truth. And it's a policy. Until that policy is destroyed, and until these people are ready to build a nation that can compete with other countries of the world, Nigeria is going nowhere. We are still where we are. I don't know whether you guys are aware that the cost of fuel that they were enjoying, oh, when Dangote come on board, there will be the price of fuel will come down, the price of PMS will come down, there will be job, there will be this, there will be that. As of today, what is happening? What is going on? Bought fuel to go to church today, 1,040 naira. Today being Sunday. And it's going haywire like that. There is no electricity, there is no good road, no hospital, no employment, no job. The business you establish, if you are not careful, it just dies and you become a beggar in the streets of Lagos and in other states of Nigeria. So it is not working. We have to do something to make it work. And to do it, we have to go back to Jonathan Constitutional Conference in 2014 that made Nigeria a workable venture. Outside it, my brothers and sisters, 2027 will come, and those who decide and who determine who rules Nigeria will still put their candidates. Thank you, and God bless you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I just responded to your text. All right, I want to say, just air my mind a bit before I take any responsibility on this platform now. First and foremost, you see, I know Dr. Mo. I've known him for a long time. We have one or two things, and there is someone who in that group have been trying to get us to talk to. Also, they've done a lot of work in Africa and in Nigeria, and they are quite apt in what they're doing. And so I enjoyed listening to him. But even at that, speaking from my own point of view, as someone from the Southeast, I think that sometimes the problem that the Igbos face in Nigeria is underrated. It is not fully put into account. Certain times we just make it look as if these people are just crying too much, and they're trying to gaslight everybody. But that's not the case. And if you're a student of history, if you want to go back into the times the Igbos started having problem in Nigeria, especially with the massacring of the people of the East in the North. It says as far back as before 1945. So even before Nigeria came to be anything Nigeria, there was that constant meeting and making sure that those people, their lives are wasted with no just reason. Anything can trigger it. And that has happened all the way to the time eventually the Nigerian Civil War was fought. And out of all the officers there, 2 or 3 Igbo men were in it, but it became an Igbo coup, to which the Igbos are still suffering from today. But just to let you know that how Nigeria functions. You see, President Tinubu, whether we like him or not, was able to put together something that looks like a tax reform. Has anybody asked why the North was so vehemently against it? The reason is simple. It's nothing but simple. Okay? It will now go, from their own account, it was like the Tinubu trying to reverse back to the pre-independence formula of sharing, which was basically based on different formulas of what you work, what you extract from your community, and all that. And they see that as being against the North. Now, let us not even go into the figures. But one of the things you know that they banded together until they got what they wanted. But our own side of the coin, which the southern governors couldn't even band together to get simple things pushed through. So that will continue. You see, when the people act like bandits, when it comes to national affairs, you act like a bandit because you think you have the number, you think you have everything. You push your people to begin to gaslight the Nigerian population and tell them that, look, we know this and we're going to do this if you don't do this. And eventually people they cow in, they allow you to get away with it. Is it going to bring development? The answer is no. We're going to constantly continue in this trajectory that's not going to allow the states to be viable for state governors and the state legislators to think of how to develop their communities and help their people. And they're always looking forward to what is going to come from the center based on population. based on landmark, okay? And then at the end of the day, you think you are helping yourself, but actually the truth is that you are not, okay? It's going to always continue to be this way, and we're also going to keep going around in the circle. The rule of law. Let us look at it. You see, the rules of law in Nigeria have become based on where you come from or who you know. And consequently, we know that the laws that apply to people from the East is different from the one that apply to every other person. So it's not a question of discussing whether you're Igbo man or not. These things are there. You can see it. In fact, the last one was when Nnamdi Kanu's lawyers outlined so many rulings they've had in favor of Nnamdi Kanu. But see, today he's still in the DSS, detention camp. Not even in the proper prison. He's still in the DSS detention camp. Those rulings that was gotten from Nigerian courts has not been implemented, and nobody said anything about it. And the leaders of the East, who are supposed to be in the forefront, has had to put behind them, and they are going ahead to do whatever they want to do. Okay, so you see that, as we have always said on this platform, those representing the East are not really the leaders of the East. Okay, those people are there representing their own interests and not what the Easterners actually want. And so that stands also as one of the factors that if you are coming from the Southeast especially, you want to look at those things and ask yourself why. You see, just like Igbo Basic said, those people who fought the war are almost going. The people that are occupying the position now in the Southeast, young men like us, we didn't fight the war. We were not in the war. We didn't fight the war. We don't know how it happened, but we know the stories. So, and if my son, if he grows up, he's not going to, when you tell him things about the war, he's not going to look at it from there. He's only going to look at it that, is Nigeria working for me? What is the policies that are working for me? Why is it that I'm judged differently from other persons? So these things are not going to stop. And I want to say this, please let me know of any community, any country that have constantly dwelled on the path of tribalism and all that have eventually gone to succeed. If there's anyone, please let us know, so we can use that as an example. But if not, don't we think that we have gone through this trajectory for too long to think that it's not just going to change overnight without tinkering what is making it look lopsided to one part of the country? So if you look at it, I'll come to the economy. The economic powers of the Southeast are also being limited. See, look, one of the deepest part of the seaport in Nigeria is in Akwa Ibom. Why is there Akwa Ibom don't have any seaport? Why? Why is it not functioning? Is there any particular reason anybody can give me why there is no inland revenue coming from the waterways from the port to Warri? Why? Why is that not functioning? Can't we have that water go up the way to Niger State? Okay, it's not functioning. Why is there no functioning seaport in Calabar? Calabar used to be the federal capital. Okay, so even if you say it wasn't developed, well, it used to be federal capital. Those things are still there. Just this recently, like I said here on this other platform. Sorry, I'm being a bit emotional. Now, on this platform, I said this 2 days ago.
Yeah, thank you much.
There is a long beach, 45 kilometers in Akwa Ibom. In Akwa Ibom, the longest place you have, the longest beach in West Africa. It's not developed. It's still very rural. Why is that? The federal government, since the waterways, according to federal government, belongs to them, why is that not being developed? Tomorrow now, if Ovie goes there and build his tourist at this thing, then one man called David Omahe will come and tell you that you want to build road across, and those things will be destroyed. Did you all watch the woman who said she invested in Lagos State? She's an American, but she went to Lagos State to invest, and only to get there, all her house and everything, all the investment she had put down was destroyed. Everything was brought down. No reason that, simple reason that, you built on the wrong time and all that. This is what is going on. Until with those things, factors are put and addressed. If we like, let's have, best of Obis. He will not change it. I believe the Obima, you can see his heart when he speaks. He's a very clean man. But you see, cleanliness don't help you build a nation. Let us put structures that will help that clean man do the job. Why is that there's no functioning international airport in the East? All of them are for mouth. Okay, if you decide to fly to Port Harcourt, you pay more money. In fact, you're almost doubling the cost it will take you to go to Lagos. So at the end of the day, you either go to Lagos or you go to Abuja to save your money. And even if you take local flight, plus local flight you're putting to go to the south, to southeast. It's still even cheaper than flying to Enugu or flying to Port Harcourt. These are things that we should look at. Okay, national asset. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry. I said, please indulge me. Now, if you notice, it's only in the southeast don't have any standard gauge. At least the one they built. We don't have standard gauge in the east. Okay, we don't have even the gas pipeline laid in the east. We don't have it. We don't have it. Is there anybody who can tell me, beat your hand in your chest and tell me this is the national asset that is in the east that have been there? Is there anyone? There's none. What you see in the east is a community effort. If not for the community effort of the Igbo man trying to build his community, the east would have been like a zoo. And that is one of the reasons why we have constantly look at it. It look as if, the policy is, there's no policy against the Igbo man, because the Igbo man tries as much as possible to make sure that his community has light and electricity. So the aim of saying these things, I'm not saying that to say it is justifiable, and what Dr. Mo have said. Like I said, I know him personally, and they have done a lot of work in Nigeria, in West Africa, in Africa. And I mean, if you give him a chance and let him talk about his engagement, we won't go away from here. But the truth is, whilst that is good, we also need to press that if we truly want to remain as Nigerians, the national question must be discussed. It has to be solved. Okay, it has to be solved. You can't look. This guy say he has been living in Lagos for how many years now? But if you ask him tomorrow, if you want to fill any form in Lagos State, they will say the first thing you say after your name is state of origin. You have to put it. And once you put state of origin, whatever belongs to people of Lagos no longer belongs to you. You have to go back to your state. How long? People live in the US. They can stand up and move whenever they want to. Nobody even going to ask you where you're moving. You get there, that's your new state, and you continue to contribute. Those are people who are interested in moving their nation forward. And I want to stop there because I think Dr. Rido is uncomfortable. But that is the reason why the nation is moving forward. You don't move forward by lying to yourself. You don't move forward by pretending that things are working when you yourself know that it's not working. You don't move forward that way. Look at, we have more soldiers in the southeast where there's no war than in the northwest where they're ravaging the lives of people. Who does that? Who does that? And then you want to tell me that there's no hidden agenda that we're not seeing? No, I won't accept that. And so I appreciate what he's done. I wish we can bring him back because there's still a lot of work he needs to talk about, which he didn't touch, because of the political angle. But I appreciate what you're doing, Dr. Rudolph. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, KJ. No, don't say I was uncomfortable. What was going on? I was just worried about Ovia was sleeping, and there were people who've been waiting for a long time to speak. I wanted Richards to respond to Ike. So that was it. It wasn't about what you were saying. I was just interested in making sure that everybody will get a chance to speak. All right. Let's go to Ovie, and then I will come down to Richard. And then, Andubis, I see you.
Igbo Basic, Happy New Year. I failed to reach your doorstep last year, but this year I think I will make it. Janaba, your weather is too expensive for me now.
Everything has its own time. Every day has its own dog. Every dog has its own day.
All right.
I wait.
Janaba, Texas weather is too expensive for me right now. I can't afford it. So, on Dr. Mo, you have one job and one job only. Come and tell us what we don't know about Obi. And I must confess, he killed it. The job that he was here to do, the guy killed it. He was able to articulate let me use the word product now. He's a marketer. He was able to present his product, tell us what we know about Obi before, what we know, the before, the now, and pretty much tomorrow. So he was able to put it together, pretty much well. So for what he is doing, for the position he occupied, the job is doing. I never see anybody sell Obi the way he do. So follow him around. I think it's not a waste. So I give him that. And I don't know. for those who always see believe in Nigeria, I personally believe that Obi will be elected president come February 1st, 2031. February 1st, 2031, I believe Obi will be elected. How that will happen, that one is very sure. Now, I think the idea that there is a conspiracy not to let Igbo man rule. Yeah, but I think we should put it, it's a rumor, it's a gentleman agreement. Let's leave it like that. But if we are saying that it's as if it's a public written agreement, it's as if it's a cast in stone. People are free to dream, right? As I've always said, America is an idea, and the idea of America is to dominate the planet Earth. Are they going to succeed? That's the story now. Meanwhile, shout out to Donald Trump. They banned TikTok in the morning, and he have intervened. They don't bring TikTok back, so the man does start to the work already. But what I'm trying to say here is that people can dream. People can say, it's not in our politics, right? We are going to make sure these people stay out of the power for as long as we can. If we allow them, it will happen. After all, PDB had a dream to run Nigeria for 60 years, right? Within themselves, it's scattered. So just as what I've already said, that Nigeria is a story that is still being told, that has been handed to us, we that are still alive. What we do with that story is all up to us. How do we want to write it? We want to continue the story. Do we want to rewrite it? Do we want to adjust? So now we be the story. Now we be the Nigerians. No matter how we want to see them, it's me and you. Our action and inaction, that is what the idea of Nigeria is. So for me, I believe that yes, there is a gentleman agreement that is going to happen. After all, there's still a gentleman agreement that is going to be turn by turn. Now, if you fall for a nine, it will happen. By the time Bola Tinubu come back second time, after it, let's see how they won't impose anybody, right? If the movements from the way Dr. Mo put everything together, they are in for the long us, because that's what I take from him. They are in for the long us. The journey of 1,000 man begins with a step. He will keep going till the way follows. And that is the mind of a politician, right? So if the man will keep going, right? Because he said something, right? When I asked him about the idea of is the individual candidacy, he said because we no get and I make Buhari no win. He said I get that because from the one we Buhari out the contest, he's been maintaining some amount of numbers, even whether you give them or whatever, but it's there on INEC record. In my own lifetime, if there's anything I understand where is how we get to this Fourth Republic. And from this Fourth Republic, from 1989 or 1999 to date, there is nobody from the southern Nigeria that has million of votes who is not in presidency, who is not the president. Anybody can prove me wrong. From 19 date, there is nobody in the south that has a million votes that is not the president. That means there is nobody that actually stands to say, yes, let's build a consensus around this person because it gets so thing going. And that is what the example he was trying to give with Buhari. Buhari has numbers, so there's no way you can walk around him, even though he's too old. Because it's better you build your market on what is already existing than to start afresh again. Obi will be going, if he maintains his performance, all you need to do come 2027 is better stay with that number, better the number, or better the position. And he will be going to 2031 as the only candidate in the South in history with millions of votes. And as far as I'm concerned, nobody can compete with him in the South. And God help the North. Atiku still continue the way he's going. How are they going to walk around Atiku when they go say he's too old and he has the highest number in the South? That's where the problem is. Come 2031, there will be a renegotiation of that country if this happened. So I don't believe that, say, oh, just because some group of men, right, and come together, dream say they will keep some people out of the presidency and it will happen. It will happen if we let it. Nigeria we dey. One thing that we agree with CM is that it's a different generation. in the 60s, if something dey happen for Aba, it will take days or weeks before you know for Benin. It's no longer like that. People are not factoring these times that we are in. There was a Cold War in the 60s that changed our trajectory from regional government to presidents that we have today. That same time, that same Cold War is upon us again. Cold War .2. So, and I believe that Nigeria will not remain the same as long as this Cold War lasts. So, things are bound to happen. So, if we believe that the Yorubas and the Hausas have agreed to keep the Igbo house, so shall it be. You understand? But the generation that came to that agreement are not my generation. And no matter how anybody want to explain to me, I don't want to understand. And that is the reason I refuse to fall for turn by turn. When they announce that everybody celebrate, no. So it will going to be difficult. And I'm not the only one that have this view. Those who are younger than me don't even understand how this gamma way they speak. So when that time comes, if the man is still around with that kind of number and there's a consensus around him, God help all of us.
All right, thank you, Obi. Let me hear Richard respond to Ike, and then I'll hand it over to KJ.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. Mr. Ike, one thing with us, we don't like to tell the truth. We live in denial. That's the problem we have mostly with we Igbo people. We live in denial. I am telling you, not only when I say Obi cannot, smell as surok, I don't mean Obi only. I mean an Igbo man. The way Nigeria is constituted right now, that's what I'm saying. The way Nigeria is constituted, no Igbo man can enter there. If you listen to me very well, I said if they wanted Igbo man to be there or other tribes, because Nigeria is made up of how many tribes? Almost 600 tribes. So why are we talking about Igbo, Yoruba, Fulani, Hausa? If we want, if the so-called founding fathers, or let's say the military that handed over this 1999 constitution to the so-called civilians, if they wanted Nigeria to be very peaceful, they would have done it in a way that every 4 years or every 6 years or every 8 years, the power rotates automatically in the constitution. Make it there, let's make it there that it is a compulsory. But the way it is, constituted right now, bring 10 times Obi, it will not enter that person, as long as his name is Obi or something else Igbo, he will not enter there. Let us I'll say the truth. I lived in the north. I know how they think about us. I grew up in the north. I know how these people think about us. Even on 15th of January, few days ago, the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Go and listen. Go and see what they're talking about Igbo people. This stereotype can never go away. I lived in the north where even when this guy Ezekiel was contesting the election in Kano State, even though Remi Abubakar was an NPP candidate, we knew what we suffered there as Igbo people in Kano State, and it's still running to death. So if you're telling me that Obi, with this, the way Nigeria is constituted, that Obi is going to go there 2027 or 20 or 30 or 2031, my brother, we are just joking. It's not going to happen. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Dr. Damages, please, if you can indulge me for 1 second. Ike, my brother Richard, Nina J. Makaranta, Awojeng Ejos, St. Teresa Boys School, Ejos, 1962, if you lived in the north. That's not the case. In this place where I'm sitting, Chief J.O. Iruku, the founder of Nigerian Insurance, Mr. Insurance in Nigeria, the man who brought insurance to Nigeria, he came to this particular place where I'm sitting. And it was a WIC conference that he came. He spoke and he said that in the Nigerian context, and learn this from the old soldiers, negotiation continues. He says what's going on is that they went to a roundtable conference about Nigeria, and that Umaru Diko, I call him Umaru Rice, was seated there, and then all the others were seated there. And him, as an Igbo man, he was sitting there with his chieftaincy. If you see J. Oiruku, a gentleman, you know what it is. He was sitting there with his thing. And he realized that Umaru Diko had a Babaniga, which is the big flowing gown. And that for himself, that he made a decision because he did not know what Umaru Diko has under him, whether he has a cattle or whatever else. But for himself, as simple as he was, that he made a decision that he's going to sit on this table until the decisions are made and signed. And he was admonishing and advising we, the younger generation. And he was saying the reason why he did not leave his seat, that he was ready, if he was to shit on his pants, that he was going to shit on his pants. That if he was to pee on his pants, that he would pee on his pants. He's telling you that immediately you leave the table of negotiation to go and use the bathroom and come back. By the time you come back, Eniola go, they have scored the goal. And you'll be saying, but I was there. So that's the same advice he left with us. The first negotiation of the Nigerian contest, we were forced out, which was the civil war that we'll talk about. It wasn't, we just didn't go want to fight a civil war and we left. It was the same realignment. You do me, I'm saying, don't do me like this. So that was a first situation. We are now in a situation where if you're not there for the place where they roast the yam, if you're not there for the place where they roast the yam, they go carry your own, even if it's the biggest yam, they go take them away from it. So we are still in this, and we are all still carrying this green passport until otherwise is said. So listen to what Brother Ike said. Certain things are beyond us, and I listened to what Ovie said. I wanted to ask Dr. Mo, some of us who started foundations because of Peter B's movement. In fact, we didn't want to renew it. But on second thought, we said, you already laid the foundation. Foundations are being laid. The issue of Nigeria is not going to be resolved just the way you are thinking it's going to be resolved. One person say, if you hold somebody's thing, when your hand tired, you go bring them down. As far as that Nigeria is concerned, chop by chop, continuous, and all the rest of the game that they are playing now, which we all can see. The man Tinubu, I don't even use his name, but it's there. He's navigating whichever way he be Okawa or Christian Chukwu. He's playing his game. He will play and go. Others will come and play. But when the chips are down, we still carry the green passport.
All right.
So don't be disheartened. That case, if you say you know the Nigerian, listen, I'm a Nigerian to the core. In other words, I'm an Igbo man to the core. I have tried to see if I can run away from my shadow. It didn't work. That's why you see Igbo basics. That's who I am. And wherever I go, if somebody says Igbo basics, like Joe Garba came here, Joe Garba, ambassador of Nigeria to the United Nations, I gave him Igbo basics, the book, when we were still publishing on daily basis. He came, I gave him Igbo Basics newsletter. He read it from page to page. And on a lunch table the next day with him, he told me which articles that finished and which one that did not finish. But we, from our own side, we go take them, go put them away. We go take them, go put them away. We're not going to read them. So what am I trying to say to you? If you don't say, here I am, nobody will say, there you are. And we have people who are in the game right now, who are navigating, and they are surviving. People like Oyuke, Ajus Akalo, he's my cousin, okay? But he's been in the Nigerian game for quite some time. You may call him whatever you want to call him. But the young man is out there navigating whichever way they go, he dodge. Not be them West PDP. Let them start PDP. Not be them will start PPA. Let them start PPA. Got 3 governorships in the southeast. But in the end, where are we now? APC. And I'm not saying I'm in the APC. I'm just saying to you, understand. That's why I was telling to Kene, a lawyer will see J. That man from the South Middle Belt, the Elijah, that over there in Lafayette, the man came, and we pray that this a man would follow him. And what did they do? They made sure that they eliminated over there in Lafayette. Okay, if they could eliminate Nnamdi Kanu, they would eliminate him. But right now, at the fishbone where hook Nigeria for net. Nigeria won't swallow me. No grease swallow. Please spit them out. So let us, all the younger ones, as I call you, let us learn from the masters of the game. If you sleep today, wake up tomorrow. Thank God. Brother Ike, I'm always appreciative of your elderly comments. As you say, is from you talk. Say some of us don't know why we are alive now. Bear in mind, there is a reason why you are where you are, and where you are alive, because you are being protected by the Almighty, whoever sent you there to be there. If you're there for Nigeria, maybe if I don't buy you, because you want to say you can hear everything. Thank you very much. Let's learn from all soldiers.
Thank you. I see Omoye's corner. I see Omori. I really would love to hear what you guys will say, but I will hear it outside of here. I have to step out, and I'll hand it over to KJ. But let me thank Alexander Gomez, Kolata, Ebi, Kolata, Igbo Basics, Tima Jack, all those who support us. We appreciate you. I want to thank KJ, Igbo Basic, Ike, Richard, Ndubisi, CM, Omoroye, OC, Moye, and everybody else who joined, and those on the comment section. I appreciate all of you. Hopefully next Sunday we will bring you another interesting guest. Until then, KJ, you can take it from here. Let Ndubisi speak. I will listen at the other end, and Moye and OC and everybody else. Thank you, guys. I see you soon. See you next week.
Thank you, Dr. Rudolph. We thank you for your contributions, and your bringing guests that will enlighten and enlighten the panels and all that. Welcome everybody. Yeah, let's just move on. NWC, you are supposed to be speaking, right? So you go ahead and speak.
Yes, thank you, KJ. Thank you, fellow panelists, and doctor. Thank you as you take your exit and rest for the day.